champion New England Patriots.
He's got the first down.
WBC-FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub is the media group station. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Patriots are headed to an NFL record 12th Super Bowl after winning in Denver yesterday 10-7 in the AFC Championship game. Drake May ran 6 yards for a touchdown on a quarterback draw after a Jarrett Stidham fumble. Andy Gonzalez added a 23-yard field goal to cap the first drive of the second half, and the defense in a second-half snowstorm took care of the rest. The Broncos managed a total of 181 yards of offense on the day, and May was more than happy to see it.
Yeah, we were running the football and knowing that protecting the football once we got those 3 points at halftime. That was a huge drive. I'll just protect the football and let our defense keep doing their thing. It was tough elements for offense, but defenses were playing great, and really just give our chance to to not lose the game and turn the ball over or do something where we put our defense in a bad spot. And our defense showed up every time and time again.
Patriots are headed for Santa Clara in Super Bowl 60 a week from Sunday. They stayed overnight in Denver because of the weather here. They'll fly back this morning. They'll play Seattle. They held off the LA Rams 31-27 in the NFC Championship game. Sam Darnold threw for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Seahawks also held on a key 4th down in the fourth quarter, and it sets up a rematch of the famous Malcolm Butler interception Super Bowl from a dozen years ago. Bruins and Celtics both get back to work tonight after having yesterday off. Bruins visit the Rangers tonight. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bruins have won 10 of their last 12, and after a tough loss in Chicago over the weekend, the Celtics entertain Portland at TD Garden tonight. Starting center to me is Keita, questionable with a sore ankle. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by D'Angelo Grilled Sandwiches. Sink your teeth into the new extra cheesy meatball. This one is next level. Tender meatballs, rich marinara, and a serious amount of melted cheese. If you love a classic meatball sub, this is the upgraded version. Try it at your local D'Angelo today. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
This is what happens when analysts take over the game, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher
You might hate me, but you're listening.
and Hardy
Don't bother me. I'm at the Pickle Palace.
on 98.5.
I know what I'm capable of.
He said something about peanut butter, right?
Yeah, boning, baby. Make America nut again.
That's gross. That's disgusting.
Let's talk about cheese.
What are you going to have for lunch?
I was at dinner with my wife and a friend.
Kitty, kitty, pussy, kitty, kitty, kitty. Flap, flap, flap.
Shut up, I'm trying to talk to Paul.
Toucher and Hardy
Good luck trying to put your finger in it when there's a million holes.
on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
Holy yeah. Do it now.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. Everyone else is in the Town Fair Tire Studios. You can call us 617-779-0985. You can watch us on YouTube. I am on YouTube. My understanding is I'm on YouTube.
You are on YouTube.
Oh, that's very exciting. Is Paul Perillo there?
Yes, he is.
I'm not getting the big screen, everybody.
Oh.
I am, sir. I am here.
All right, thank you. I would love to see you, but Nicholas is very incompetent and cannot get this up on Zoom. I would love nothing more to see you, considering we've never worked together before. And, this is what let me see if I can do this. Nah, I can't. Nick's got to do it. Or someone's got to do it. All right. Thank you, Paul Perillo, for joining us. And, Nick, if you could send me a link to get the phone calls, that would be very helpful as well.
Oh, here we go. We're up and running.
I mean, it is something else. I would love to take phone calls the day after the Patriots make the Super Bowl. That would be a good thing for me to be able to do. But nonetheless, or three could just chat.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Sure. I'm in.
Yeah, yes, indeed. All right. So, the beginning of the season, this seemed like a joke. There seemed Paul, what did you have the Patriots record being at the beginning of the season. Paul Perillo, of course, Patriots.com. What do you have? What did you have for the Patriots record at the beginning of the season?
Well, I was like everybody else, Fred. I was wrong. I thought 15-2. They only went 14-3, so I was a little off. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I just said to John as we sat down, I can't believe this team is in the Super Bowl. And we did our post-game show last night, and even after watching, the last 3 months really of really, really good football. Let's go from the start of October on. This team has played really, really good football, and I'm still kind of surprised. After some of these games, the way they unfold defensively in the playoffs, they were just lights out. I thought, somewhere between 8, maybe 7, 8, if everything fell right, 9 wins. That's what I thought the ceiling was. So for them to be in the Super Bowl, to me, is just a testament to Vrabel and the culture that he built so quickly, and obviously, Drake May's second-year leap. But yeah, no, I didn't see it coming, and I continue to be amazed by it.
Does your opinion switch a little bit on Vrabel May? I'm not trying to make a Brady Belichick debate at all, but I did think about this yesterday. Is that yesterday really came down to coaching, because the second half was basically a draw. So you and May didn't do anything, and that's not entirely his fault, because what was he going to do? It wasn't asked to really do anything in the fourth quarter, except for pick up that first down with his feet. Nothing with his arm.
Right.
So, because this playoff was impressive to me, even more so because May didn't do it, right? Like the team won even when May wasn't carrying them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Fred. And all year I thought it was really an offensive-driven team. As May went, the team went, and May was really good virtually every single game. And then all of a sudden, the offense kind of went south in the playoffs. They didn't really play well in any of the 3 games. They made some plays here and there, but for the most part, it was all defense. And I think I understand where you're going with this. It's almost like, do you sort of respect everything a little bit more, because it wasn't just about Drake May when it came to the postseason. And I do. If you had told me the defense was going to dominate like that for 3 straight games, I wouldn't have believed it. And I understand there's a lot of shortcomings on all 3 teams that you played. The Chargers had their issues with the offensive line, and the Texans were missing their best offensive player in Nico Collins. And then Dalton Schultz after the first quarter, probably their best 2 offensive players. And then, yesterday, Bo Nix doesn't play, and how does that game unfold differently if Bo Nix is in it? But that doesn't really take a lot away from me, with how well the defense played. And you're right. All regular season, it was about Drake May and his MVP candidacy and the offense leading the way. And really, they didn't have that in any of the 3 playoff games. So I think it is impressive.
Yeah, and look, if Knicks played yesterday, who knows? You got to figure.
It's a whole different game.
It's an entirely different game.
In the second half, though, the weather was...
But Knicks' legs.
No, I understand Knicks' legs, but what I'm saying is, look, I don't know how much he could have done, especially in the third quarter. When
how about not turning the ball over in your own end and then the game 7-3?
How about not throwing the ball backwards to
no, that obviously Knicks wouldn't have done that.
Well, I don't know, but probably not. I mean, if Stidham doesn't throw the ball backwards, that game could be. That game's 7-3. I mean, it might have played off differently. I mean, the Patriots might have been more aggressive, or obviously would have had to been more aggressive. But if it played out the same way without him throwing the ball behind him, that's a 7-3 game. So take the Denver game out of it. There was a lot of elements. I thought it was a very well-coached game. It just, both teams are shorthanded because of that weather and the change in it. And so take the Denver game out of it. But, Paul, when you say the offenses, look, that Chargers offense was good enough to get them into the playoffs. Like, nothing dramatically changed in the last few games for them. They didn't have they lost those offensive linemen earlier in the season.
Correct.
And if you can't win a playoff game, or you're going to play that poorly offensively because you're missing a wide receiver, that's inexcusable. Like, good teams don't do that, right?
Yeah, and the quarterback played poorly. I mean, that he probably plays just as poorly with Nico Collins, but you can't just discount it. But I agree with you. I mean, they played offenses that were good enough to be there, and the defense completely shut them down. And I also agree with your point about the game yesterday. We don't know what would have happened. The game's all different. If Bo Nix is playing, maybe the Patriots have a different game plan. Maybe they're more aggressive, as you said, Fred, offensively in the second half. I mean, there was one possession. It was almost like they just specifically ran 3 plays so they could punt.
State when May just threw the ball away out of bounds in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
But we don't know what would have happened if Bo Nix was playing, but he wasn't. And, the Patriots game plan knew that they had a quarterback that was not going to be equipped to handle that kind of pressure. It was apparent, I thought, from the very first possession of the game, he looked like a deer in the headlights to me.
Whenever they blitzed, you could see it.
Yeah, he was holding the ball. He was running backwards. And I thought Zach Core, for the third straight game, was the most important guy on that team. And, Fred, your point about coaching, I think, is huge. You just look at the way the game unfolded in the situations, and I think Sean Payton has kind of admitted it in the post game. You got to recognize what kind of game you're in, and for him to pass up that field goal to go up 10-0 in the first half, I thought was just lunacy. I mean, you get a 2-score lead in a game like that. Now, I don't know what they knew about what the weather was going to be. My guess is they had more information on this than we did.
And but the other thing,
I don't know how you don't take a 2-score lead there.
The other part of it is, if you are going to go for it, and Fred, see if you agree with this, on 4th and short, and you put the ball in Stidham's hands instead of running the football.
Awful.
Yeah,
oh my
Payton
God!
said they should have run it.
Yes,
but look, man. This happened in the NFC Championship game. This happened in that Bears game. There's got to be a referendum on going for it on 4th down. Even watching that live, you thought, okay, you have a backup quarterback in, you have an all-world defense. If you get up 2 scores, you're going to miss these 3 points. In every single one of these games, these teams go for it on 4th down. The gamble is just not worth it, especially in the playoffs where things are so much tighter. All these games, last minute drives when teams are down by 4 or 5 when they could have been down a field goal or less. It just drives me insane.
Yeah.
And especially I guess Sean Payton was feeling himself a little bit because Stidham was moving the ball, and maybe Payton started thinking, I'm an offensive genius, and look at how this is all working out, and we can really put the dagger in them, and then if we don't, they'll have bad field position, all these things. But, yeah, I just think Vrabel was very smart for when he chose to go for it over the course of these playoffs and when he chose to just take points. And yesterday when he decided just to get the hell off the field and, punt the ball. Paul and John, it's funny because it's 2 games in a row now where the quarterbacks were told from the other team, don't force anything. It's fine if we punt. Just let us punt. Let our defenses take over. And in both games, those idiots couldn't follow that lesson.
I know.
Like, Payton had to have sat down with Stidham a million times and said, okay, they're going to blitz you a lot. If they get through, get rid of the ball. Just throw the ball out of bounds. We're fine. We'll flip the field. All these things. And for Stidham to throw the ball behind them, to force something. And like on a double clutch, too. I don't even know why they blew that ball dead in the first place.
That's a very good point. Well, 2 things. First of all, Stidham said after the game he was surprised that the defensive lineman got up on him so quick. And surprised?
Okay, so take a sack.
Exactly. Or get rid of the ball. I mean, that's a guy who hadn't been there before all season, was surprised by the speed of the game. That was a play where Nix obviously doesn't make that mistake, but that's the reason why Stidham was an underdog to do well. He wasn't used to the speed of the game. And the other part of this is you do throw the ball away. You do take a sack. It's not – he lacked the pocket awareness. It's quarterbacking 101 in a big game like that, and he wasn't mentally equipped to handle it.
Yeah, I thought the Patriots offense would play a lot better, but, with the Stidham performance was pretty much exactly what I expected. And a lot of people sort of push back at me, look what Nick Foles did. Look what Jeff Hostetler did.
Incredibly different situations.
Like, Nick Foles was making his 37th career start.
He was a Pro Bowler before that.
Jarrett Stidham has been in the league for 7 years, and no one has seen fit to have him be their quarterback. 7 years is a long time.
Well, that's about to change, Paulie.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
It's about to change.
They'll be beating down his door, Freddie, after that performance yesterday.
Scott Mitchell, look out. I mean, there's a new reclamation project. It was the whole notion that he was going to play well was ridiculous, or that he was going to be able to. I mean, he didn't have to do anything, and he didn't do it. I mean, an NFL backup quarterback should be able to, and I understand the second half, but you should be able to generate over a touchdown. I mean, just with the field position you were handled, and there was a blocked field goal and a missed field goal, and all these things. But yeah, I mean, in the one field goal was the first field goal. You can't really blame the guy for missing it. The second field goal was blocked, but you got that team with the field position that you were handed over and over again. You got that team into scoring position 3 times in that game, or if it was more, excuse me. But I know there's the blocked field goal, the missed field goal, and the touchdown. But you were handed that field position. You couldn't do it. You got to be a pretty bad quarterback. Yeah. I don't care who the defense that
really
you're playing.
Good field position all day too. I mean, in the first half, they had several possessions where they were, sort of between the 40s.
Yeah,
when they're starting, and then the second half,
before the weather got bad, in today's day and age,
they should have had a 2-score lead at half.
Yeah, Lutz is pretty good. If you get the ball at midfield, Fred, we've talked about it all season. All you need is 1 first down to get into scoring range. And seriously, to give yourself 3 points on each of those possessions, and he couldn't even do that.
Yep, and in the second half, when the game's on the line, you realize they took over at the Patriots' 36-yard line.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. On that, when they
brilliantly done. They flipped the field.
The field goal
got
blocked. Yeah,
seriously
perfect. They played the field position game perfect.
You need 1 first down just to get close.
And they got about 5 yards and missed a 45-yard field goal. Leonard Taylor. I mean, who's even really aware of who Leonard Taylor is?
Me.
He gets. I know, Freddie. I know you had that one, but. For him to get a hand on that field goal and block it, that's the difference between going to the Super Bowl and going to overtime.
Right. And, the idea, you can't ask the Patriots to do much punting into that wind. And, they get the ball. You like John said, you pick up a first down, and you're in a much better position, and you give the guy an opportunity where he can kick the ball higher and everything else, and it doesn't get blocked. It's just a very well-coached game by Vrabel, because he, like you said, Paul, they won by offense all season long, and then when the offense, you go against these defenses, A, and then B, maybe your offense is like finally playing, maybe that's where your schedule was a factor, is that your offense was held in check a little bit, but still being able to win these 3 games, one on the road, is incredibly impressive. And the way that they all played out, because if you would have given people May's stat line of these 3 games and told them they were going to win every single game, that would be very, very difficult to believe. Because
totally agree.
I wouldn't want to be an NFL coach right now, because if I'm hiring a guy, one of these 10 new coaches, I'm saying, Mike Vrabel got this roster into the Super Bowl with a second-year quarterback. What are you guys doing? I mean, this sends a whole new set of expectations. I mean, Vrabel, one of the great coaching jobs. I mean, this roster was not a roster that was a Super Bowl roster, and he was able to do that. And you can say, well, Drake May, he took these great leaps, and that is absolutely true, but that's not why they won in the playoffs. But he was the best quarterback in every game, and they were playing Herbert and they were playing Stroud, and those guys have been Pro Bowlers. So, sometimes you got the guy that doesn't crap himself, and May did not crap himself in any of these games. I don't think those fumbles in the first 2 games were a result of him being, extraordinarily nervous. He was just sloppy with the ball and maybe didn't feel the rush.
He didn't turn the ball over. That's the most important part. He did get, and we'll go through it when we come back. He did get very, very lucky early through a
first play of the game should have been a
very
pick
bad
six.
pass that should have been picked off, and it should have been a touchdown the other way. But after that, we've seen it this season where it's a rough start, but whether he turns the ball over or not, but he gathers himself and gets better as the game goes on.
He didn't have it yesterday for sure, but
my point is that May didn't play well. I mean, he didn't. He didn't throw the ball well. He didn't play well. He was good with his legs, but he didn't crap himself, which is really all you had to do the last 2 games. The last 3 games is just not crap yourself. I mean, you got Stroud throwing 4 or 5 picks. You got Stidham throwing the ball behind him. I mean, just don't do anything egregiously dumb. And you can say, well, that's too easy. That's easy. But these 3 other teams couldn't do it. These 3 other teams, quarterbacks crapped themselves. So if you play 3 playoff teams who quarterbacks crap themselves, and your quarterback stays the steadier of the 2, that's a win. I mean, that's how you win in these garbage games. All right, Paul Perillo is in. We'll take your phone calls. We'll go through everything that happened last night. 617-779-0985. We'll be right back.
You're listening.
$40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch the game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game of what happened. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. Hardy is on a big 90s cruise. He is on the high seas right now. He's not dealing with this snow. He's just on a boat outside of Tampa with a bunch of fans of TLC. So the jealousy, I mean, we're stuck in this snow. So, geez, Hardy wins the day. But, Jonathan, let's go through the magical game.
All right.
Everyone.
It was the Patriots in Denver in the AFC Championship game yesterday in Colorado. You know the deal. Patriots had never won a playoff game in Denver, but the Broncos were without their starting quarterback, Bo Nix. He was replaced by former Patriots draft pick Jarrett Stidham, who is making his first start since January 7th of 2024. So, teams traded 3 outs to start the game. Drake Mays, we were talking about before the break, should have been intercepted when his throw to Stephon Diggs into triple coverage on third down was dropped. Denver got the ball back near midfield. The defense quickly had Stidham in a 3rd and 10, but Stiddy came up big.
4-man rush with a twist up front. He throws a long ball down the right side. He's got an open man. Mims makes the catch at the 15.
Jesus.
He's tackled inside the 10. He streaks past Christian Gonzalez. Jarrett Stidham loads up, and the Broncos have a 1st and goal to go at the 7.
Got to be kidding me. What they do is they spread you, which makes you vacate the safety. Man, he put this one on the money.
A 54-yard pass to Marvin Mims. He beat Christian Gonzalez and handed Denver a 1st and goal at the Patriots 7, and then 2 plays later.
Prentice in motion, right to left, play fake by Stidham. He's rolling on his front end zone, wide open, touchdown, back right corner, Cortland Sutton, and Denver strikes first.
Called the boot there. Thought he was going left. He went to the right. He had Sutton wide open from the get-go. Good route. A flag route to that right side. Instead of just babies it right to him in that back corner of the right end zone. Yes, Hawkins got beat there.
All right, so it's 7-0 early, kind of surprising.
Yeah, I thought the Patriots were on the heels to start the game, and the Broncos, and we kind of thought Sean Payton would have some stuff for Stidham to get him comfortable. Didn't think it necessarily would be a deep ball like that, but that was a big play, and they had all the momentum at the time.
So, Fred, you assume that the Patriots are going to lose after that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought because you haven't seen him go down a touchdown this year, so that was a little difficult to watch. But I did think maybe that would loosen Stidham up, and that maybe he would end up playing better than he did, because he was off and he was actually like smiling and Mr. Cool and I got this, and because he was sped up and he was nervous at the beginning of the game, and I thought, okay, that might calm him down. Then he throws the touchdown pass, and you're thinking maybe there's a chance that he can do enough for them to win. That's the only thing I thought, is that, okay, he's just shown that he can lead them down the field. That's something, but then that turned out to be everything. So I was incorrect in my assumption there.
Okay, Broncos lead it 7-0 early. Patriots got 1 first down on their next drive, but had to punt again when Drake May was forced to throw short to Stephon Diggs. And you were talking about what you were worried about after seeing things early. Nick Bonito beats Will Campbell clean around the left end, puts an amazing amount of pressure on May, and he had to go to a safety valve. So automatically now you're worried about Will Campbell after having his first 2 playoff games not go well. Patriots punted again. They ended the first quarter with a season-low 12 yards of offense, and at the end of one, Denver led it 7-0. So, second quarter begins. Broncos with the football near midfield. Stidham converts a key third down pass to former Patriot Paul Lil Jordan Humphrey. And then one of the bigger plays of the game. They had 4th and 1 at the Patriots 11. Sean Payton gambled in the bad weather. He didn't take the points to go up 10-0. Good news for the Patriots.
Stidham pulls away. He rolls to his right. He's pressured. He throws it to the inside. Intercepted by Woodson. No, It's incomplete. They're going to say short-hopped it, but it doesn't matter.
You take the points.
Play call. Sean Payton rolls the dice, and the Patriots pressured Stidham into an incompletion. New England takes over.
That's a mistake. You take the points, you go up 10. They shifted down to go into the gap. Stidham knew it. He tried for a jailbreak.
And I will say in real time, I was screaming at the TV set, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Take the points. And we were talking about this, Fred, during the first segment of the show. This is a guy who is feeling himself. And in real time, I knew that was going to cost him.
Yeah, he saw Stidham go down the field, them get a touchdown. The Broncos were dominating, as the game goes. I mean, they time of possession, they driven down the field, and yeah, I think that Payton was just feeling himself. I think Payton thought he was too smart for the room and ended up costing him.
All right, now the big question. Okay, momentum shift right there, right? Did that jumpstart the offense? Nope. One more first down and a punt back to Denver after that. But the defense finally made a big play to change things with just under 3 minutes left in the first half.
Change at the line of scrimmage, right foot forward. Stidham takes the snap. Patriots with a blitz. He backpedals. He's in trouble. Pressured by Ellis. Ball is loose. It bounds along the far side. Picked up by Ponder. He's going to run it into the end zone. It's a scoop and score for the Patriots if it stands.
There's your
Alex Kemp has dropped the flag. There's been no signal yet from the officials. Jarrett Stidham.
What is he doing?
Backpedaling, pressured and panicked. Losing the football, Elijah Ponder, the rookie free agent, scooped it up for the Patriots. Along the far side, the officials conferencing.
All right, so originally called intentional grounding, the refs huddled up, called it a backward pass recovered by the Patriots, but even though it was a backward pass, instead of allowing the fumble return for a touchdown, they just gave the ball to the Patriots at the Denver 12-yard line. And before we move forward, guys, why wasn't that a touchdown defensively?
Yeah, they blew the whistle and they blew it dead. They gave them the fumble recovery because they deemed it, a natural recovery, through the course of action. But they can't give you the return if they blow the play dead.
Okay.
They said it was an apparent fumble recovery. I think it was Ponder, right?
Yes,
was the one who picked it up. I thought the whole play was strange. First of all, I have no idea what Stidham was thinking. He just kept retreating and holding and double pumping. Fred, I think you had said that he double pumped a couple of times. Just take the sack or just throw it away. Then I thought Christian Ellis, who made a fantastic play, really the play of the game, because I think without this individual play in the game, I don't think the Patriots win. So a great play by Ellis, but I thought he kind of knocked the ball backwards.
Yes. It was kind of like shoveling it with two hands.
I was a little surprised they called it a backward pass. Now, There's an argument to be made that he knocked it out of his hands before he threw it, which would be a fumble.
I think looking at the replay,
they deemed it a backward pass.
But I think looking at the replay, he did kind of knock the ball out of his hands as he was shoveling it backward. But either way,
maybe because his arm wasn't going forward, and he was kind of. It was like a chest pass.
Yeah.
That when you get your hand on his arm while he's where it's like a chest pass backwards, and they had blown it dead. So maybe the only explanation for having blown it dead was that it was a backwards pass. It might just all be like a linguistic justification.
Yeah,
that's what it
for the call on the field, because I do think that the ball might have been forced loose, but that's a very loose definition of pass. Like if his arm was going forward, maybe they keep the call on the field. But since he had been panicking in a very feminine way, released the ball from his chest, perhaps that was they thought style points, and that's why they let that play stand.
That play was enormous, though. I don't think they win the game without that play.
And that goes back to what
I mean. If the game plays out as it played out, which who knows, it's a 7-3 game or a 7-3 game, or 7-3 game.
7-3 game, and that is the first sign of, Bo Nix never would have done that. Never would have made that mistake. Never would have had a defensive lineman come up on him so fast. He would have gotten the ball away and out of bounds and saved the play.
Right.
Jarrett Stidham, because he was not experienced in this year and had been rusty, didn't have it happen.
With Nick's legs, that game's completely different just with his legs.
Yeah.
Even if he never throws the ball, they he could have eluded pressure. He could have made him pay. If they blitz Nick's and he's able to evade that rush, he's gone. So just like what May did. So Stidham's, everyone said, don't be, Stidham's a lot more mobile. No, he's not. Stidham's way less mobile than Nick's.
Yeah,
incredibly less mobile than Nick's.
The backpedaling. That's the thing we saw a lot of.
I agree.
He wasn't. Not only was not he able to pick up yards with his legs. Another play, Paul and John, is when Stidham gets loose on a third down, and he can't pick up first down yardage. I forgot who tackled it, but it was one of the major plays in the game that. If Nix is in there, he can do those things.
Was that the rollout where he went to the pylon, didn't get there, and that forced the
That was the second one. But
absolutely. That was a huge play. Fred, you're nailing it because I think Bo Nix picks up the first down.
Yes.
Now, listen, the game is all different. We don't know how it would unfold. But if the plays are all the same, Bo Nix gets the first down in that scramble, and they don't have to go for it on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Easily, I think Bo Nix gets that first down. And then who knows what they do on the 4th down if they had to, if they had to go for it on 4th down with Nix's mobility, maybe he's not sort of under duress the way Stidham was. You can't understate it. I mean, I know Bo Nix is not Drake May, but there was an enormous drop-off between their starting quarterback and their backup yesterday.
Agreed. So they didn't give Christian Ponder the touchdown. Patriots had the football, though. 1st and goal or 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line.
When Stidham didn't pick it up, the play I'm thinking of is before they went for it on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
When Marcus Jones got Stidham short of the sticks. That's what I'm thinking of. Stidham's bad. Stidham's not a good quarterback. I'm going on the record.
Okay, so
I don't mean to be shocking.
No, not controversial at all. So 2 plays after the Christian Ponder fumble.
Drake points with his right hand to set the protections, takes the snap. He stands in, quarterback draw, across the 5. Goal line right. Touchdown, Patriots!
I tell you, that's the way you have.
So that makes it 7-7 with just over 2 minutes left in the first half.
I didn't get Scott's analysis there.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You want me to replay the whole thing?
I told you.
It's another 25 seconds. You want me to do that?
I just want to see when he begins words.
All right, hang on 1 second. See if I can get us back to where we were before.
Andy Gonzalez is on.
No, I already lost it, so I can't get it to you. But
right.
No, unfortunately, no, I don't have a lot of the Zoe analysis. 7-7 with over 2 minutes left in the first half. Denver got the ball to midfield but had to punt after a Christian Barmore sack. Patriots went 3 and out and punted back. It wound up with a 54-yard attempt by Will Lutz that he missed. Patriots had the ball last in the first half and set up for a 63-yard attempt from Andy Gonzalez. He hooked it, leaving the game tied at 7 at the break. So if we want, we can stop here, Fred, and do the second half after the break, or I can keep going.
No, let's stop here and do the second half after the break. We will be back, 617-779-0985. I realize there's a snowstorm, but at some point we would enjoy taking your phone calls. Except from Alf and Blind Scott, which is all we have left right now. It's a very reminds me of being on AM 1170 in Cumming, Georgia, where I would have a guy call in and ask what the weather was.
Oh, you
got to
take Alf, Fred. That's tradition. Come on. Got to take Alf.
There was a week we did not take Alf, and the Patriots still won. So Alf is Alf is not a magical barometer of success for the Patriots.
All right.
We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
How come the dude got a Lions hat on?
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Patriots won in Denver yesterday, 10-7 in the AFC Championship game. Cortland Sutton a touchdown catch early for Denver, but Drake May answered with a touchdown run. Andy Gonzalez a 23-yard field goal in the third quarter. That was the difference. Patriots sweep their road schedule for the season. They advance to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara, and their opponent a week from Sunday will be Seattle, who beat the LA Rams 31-27 in the NFC Championship game. Bruins play in New York against the Rangers tonight. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And the Celtics play Portland at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. And Amias Queta is questionable. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy, Wes Welker, and Christian Fourier. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free consultation. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy.
Copeland, Sutton, and Denver strikes first.
Good route.
Stevenson to the right of May. Takes the snap. He stands in. Quarterback draw. Cross the 5. Across the goal line right. Touchdown! Patriots!
I tell you, that guy right there, Drake May.
Instead of waits in the shotgun. Stands in. Throws a deep ball down the right side. Gonzalez! Intercept for New England! He waited out a floater. He busted the receiver. He has the pick.
Timed it perfectly.
Fake by May. He's going to run it to the left. He's being chased. Tries to get outside. He does! He's got the first down! Running to the far side. Chasing defender Jonah Ellis. Allow the Patriots to clinch it.
Unbelievable. Hey, America. We're back.
I'm America's worst nightmare.
The worst nightmare has returned. We're going to Super Bowl 60.
I don't care for that word back. That was echoes of Kyle Van Noy. I don't care. All right. John, and this, by the way, is not good. I can tell you firsthand, this is not going to annoy people like the second stretch of the Belichick-Brady dynasty. Vrabel is not anywhere near as grating as Belichick, obviously, and May is almost superhuman in his affability and
Vanilla-like.
That's not what I wanted to say, John. How dare you put
Vanilla-ness.
Vanilla-ness. Okay.
Right. So, no, the second 3 Super Bowls by the Patriots in the last generation were infuriating. This isn't up there. So now the fans will get it there, but it will take some time. It's not there yet, so be careful with the "we're back" thing.
Yeah,
because you're trying to get something started that let them have some more success, and then they can become total dicks, and then see where we stand. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. All right, Johnny, we had gotten up to the half. Let's keep going.
Okay, do you want to go back to the Drake May touchdown run to see if Scott loses his mind, or you want to keep going?
That's fine. Let's just
let's keep going. Patriots got the ball to start the second half, and for the first time, and basically the only time, managed to drive the football down the field. Drake May, a 28-yard scramble on third down to set them up, and then on 4th and half a yard at the 7, they used a tush push for the first down. Key decision here, Sean Payton challenged it, and then the play stood, costing Payton a timeout he desperately needed later.
What did you think of this call?
Terrible.
Not the call to challenge, the call on the field.
Terrible. I thought it was a terrible
I don't even
call.
think he got to the line of scrimmage.
I don't either. And you saw it, and when you saw the replay from overhead, I don't know how they didn't overturn it. Because you're right, Paul. He doesn't get to the line of scrimmage, and then you think, oh, there was a secondary push, and there was a little one, but not. I mean, he might have gotten to the line of scrimmage. I don't think there's in any way, shape, or form he got a first down on that play. And if I'm Payton, I challenge it too.
Yeah, I would have challenged that. I thought that was a worthy challenge, and I also, we talked a lot about Payton passing up the field goal early. I thought this was a curious call by Vrabel. And I know they only needed, less than a yard, but take the lead. Just take the lead right there. You have a chip shot field goal. I thought that was a risk, and, it barely paid off because I agree with Fred. I thought that was a fortunate call. The one official from the top came in and had him clearly short. And got overruled by the near side judge who came in, and he ended up spotting it. Evidently, and I agree with Gene Steratore too. I like not even a measurement on that play. Like, at least see where the ball is.
In real time,
there's no way an official standing on the field has any inclination of where that ball was, because May didn't go low, so. When they go low and you can just kind of see where they're laying, he was kind of upright and never penetrated. So the notion of, okay, so I believe he was short, Payton thinks. Okay, so let's go to video, because the ruling on the field at that point should only be a matter of getting it to replay. I suppose, because there's no way for them to know when it's that close, and I don't even think it was that close. I don't know how the overhead shot didn't overturn it. But regardless, there you go.
Yeah, in real time, I thought he made it because May was leaning or lying across the marker, but then you see the overhead shot, and Nance said it in real time. I don't think he got it, and I think you guys are right. He didn't get it. But he was awarded a first down. Patriots were awarded a first down. They didn't get in the end zone, but 3 plays later.
Andy Gonzalez is on for a 23-yard field goal try. He missed from 63 right before halftime in this direction. Now the wind at his back and the snow as well. Andy Gonzalez leans forward. The snap from Julian Ashby to Behringer. The right leg drives the kick to the uprights. It's good. And the Patriots have their first lead in this AFC Championship. But again, they settle for 3.
Patriots settle for that 23-yard Andy Gonzalez field goal, and after taking the first 9 minutes and 31 seconds of the second half off the clock, they had their first lead at 10-7. But by this time, the snow and wind had moved in, things very nasty on the field. Patriots were downwind in the third quarter, though, and took advantage.
May, handoff Stevenson, flea flicker, toss back to Trey, steps up and throws it near side. Holland's open, makes the catch over the shoulder 40. He's forced out of bounds, angling out near sideline, shoved out at the 30.
We just talked about the elements, and you call flea flicker, you catch him sleeping, and the guy that's been out for 4 weeks makes one of the biggest catches in the playoffs in 2026.
Hell of a play call with the wind all over the place. Of all the things that the Patriots would do in that situation, I was shocked that they tried that.
Yeah, interesting call. And then, they kind of waste it. And this sequence here is another one that I questioned in a day that I otherwise thought the Patriots coaching staff was just really on it. I think you go 3 plays later, they had a 3rd and 8, I think, here from like the 28-yard line. And they ran a draw.
Yeah. I didn't understand
which
that
I didn't
either.
really get. I
No.
didn't think you were in comfortable field goal range given the conditions, and ultimately you weren't because Gonzalez, wasn't able to connect on the 46-yard field goal. But my feeling was probably Josh McDaniels felt, maybe we catch him and we get the first down, but if not, we're going to get 5 yards and make it an easier field goal. Ultimately, the Broncos snuffed it out and stopped it for nothing. But I thought that was an odd call.
At this point, neither offense could get anything going. Both teams went 3 and out on back-to-back possessions. So finally, the Patriots had the football on their own 8-yard line. Drake May and Ramondre Stevenson fall down on the first play, which lost 4. Patriots had to punt 2 plays later, and here's another important situation. Punt shanked out of bounds at the New England 33-yard line. 3 plays later, Denver gained 6 yards after a Jared Stidham scramble. Wind at his back. Will Lutz with a chance to tie it.
The snap from Fumble. It's handled by Crawshaw. The kick is an end-over-end low-line drive, and it's no good off to the left. Again, nothing is automatic.
Bob, I thought it carried.
And with that kick, much like the Gonzalez kick earlier when he pushed it right, it had the distance a line drive, but knuckling toward the uprights. Hooks to the left, and now Lutz has missed twice.
What they didn't know was Will Lutz not only missed a kick, but the ball tipped at the line of scrimmage by practice squad call-up Leonard Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, 4:42 left now. Patriots ball at their own 36, but situational football, this time on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, the weather, I suppose you got to line drive it in that weather, especially since they weren't able to pick up any yards. And that's the situation you put your kicker in those elements. So, again, Denver's anemic offense.
Yep.
It absolutely costs them. You got to score. You got to get points there.
Yeah, and Freddie, that's another one. Again, we don't know how the plays unfold with Bo Nix, but that scramble that Stidham had that he got, what did he get, like 6 yards?
Yeah, 6 yards.
We
thought that was okay. That gets him close enough.
I mean, at the time, I thought it was enough for the field goal, but there was a lot of room there. If that was Bo Nix, he probably gets the first down.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, it was 2nd and 13. That was an 8-yard run. Yeah, so, yeah, if Nix's legs in those elements, like, that would have been a huge, huge, huge difference because it was for May. I mean, most of 99% of May's success was with his legs.
Yeah, 99% of the Patriots offense was Drake May running. That was all they had.
So the Patriots go 3 and out after getting the ball back. Less than 4 minutes to go now. Denver with the ball at their own 32. And finally, Jarrett Stidham took a shot down the field.
Stands in, throws a deep ball down the right side. Gonzalez shot for New England. He waved it out a floater. He bumped with the receiver. He has the pick. And the Patriots are 2 minutes and 11 seconds away with a 10-7 lead. With one timeout plus the 2-minute warning remaining for Denver, New England is that close to the next step. Timed it perfectly.
All right, so Christian Gonzalez got beat for a big play early, but makes that play there.
Yeah, but did any of you go, oh, wow, thank God that happened? I mean, was anyone very nervous about Denver being able to drive the field?
Not at this point. No, we pretty much had the whole full Jarrett Stidham experience.
And I'm
by
usually
then.
pretty, one of those guys. I always think the team that has the ball at the end is going to score in NFL games. I agree with Fred. I never once thought that Denver was going to score in that possession.
No, especially if you put the football on the other side of the field, the other side of the 50. That's the thing. I had no trouble. So the Patriots get the ball back. They had to kill the clock. 3rd down and long on their own side of the field going into the wind. They had tried nothing but run the football to the right side or up the middle, and Josh McDaniels had one more trick, pulled it out of his bag to end this one.
Fake by May. He's going to run it to the left. He's being chased. Tries to get outside. He does! He's got the first down! Running to the far side. Outletting the chasing defender, Jonah Ellis. Allow the Patriots to clinch it.
Unbelievable. Hey, America. We're back. The worst nightmare has returned.
Yes, it's my worst nightmare. It's the worst thing happening in the world right now.
That's
wow. Right. We've really put in perspective, Scott. We're living in great times. All right, look, we'll be back in just a moment. We desperately have to break. 617-779-0985.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I am back.
Super Bowl 60 will be heard here.
He's got the first down.
The home of the AFC champion New England Patriots. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Fred describes himself in 7 words.
A guy in tights and a cape.
And Hardy with blunt honesty.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
Toucher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy today as he is on the 7 Seas on a big 90s cruise, fresh off his flannel trivia thing about 90s music. It's very exciting. He's missing the snow, but he does get the people on that cruise. So I take the snow every time, but he is being compensated for being on there. 617-779-0985. All right. The Patriots are an early underdog, obviously, in this Super Bowl. What is it, 5 points?
I saw
5.5?
4.5 last night. It might have changed since then.
All right. I think I saw 5. But that is what's happening. But if, according to what I'm reading here in The Athletic, combined the odds if you pick this Super Bowl matchup was 4,800 to 1, which is the longest odds ever for a Super Bowl. Now, the Patriots and the Seahawks are not the longest odd teams by any stretch to make a Super Bowl. In 2021, the Bengals were 150 to 1. The Patriots were 80 to 1. Seattle was 60 to 1 this year. In 99, the Rams were 150 to 1.
Yeah.
To make that Super Bowl, which they won. A lot of long odds teams have won. But yes, 4,800 to 1 is the longest odds in Super Bowl history, at least since 1989. But I believe in Super Bowl history, they're saying. So, yeah, very, very difficult to believe this could happen. George, let's go to George. George, hello, sir.
Hi, was that a backward pass or a fumble? Plus, if they play like that in the first half had good weather, and they couldn't even move the ball. If they play like that against the Seahawks, they will never win, because the Seahawks will score 30 points in that game.
All right, Paul, we've discussed it earlier, but your thoughts on that being – thank you to the caller. Your thoughts, Paul, on that Stidham very feminine atrocity that
yeah, they
occurred.
ruled it a backward pass, which is a fumble. So it's a semantic argument. It's a fumble either way. But yeah, I mean, I understand the trepidation. You can't necessarily play offense the way the Patriots have, except for that they've kind of done it three games in a row, and they've been able to get away with it. I wouldn't recommend continuing to get very little offensive production. I want to say that these are the three. I mean, certainly the last two, in terms of total yards, are the low points of the season, the entire season, in terms of offensive production. So yeah, they need to be better on that side. The offensive line is really struggling, and I think at the times that May has had some time yesterday, he didn't trust what he was seeing. He didn't see the field well at all. And I don't think he threw the ball all that well either. I thought he had a lot of throws that were, at the ankles of receivers and down around the shins. Just nothing offensively was good yesterday, other than May when he took off to scramble. He was effective with his legs, but that's about it.
Well, I don't know if you gentlemen are familiar with Rule 7, Section 2, Article 1, parentheses 0, relating to an erroneous whistle while the ball is loose. The team last in possession may elect to put the ball in play at the spot where possession was lost or to replay the down. And they asked a retired referee, Terry McCauley, and he gave an answer that I cannot understand. There are a lot of things with these calls in the NFL that are not easily explainable. They even the explanation of the rule doesn't make a lot of sense. So it looked to me, I mean, I think, again, I'll repeat, if Stidham's arm's going forward, like if he's in a throwing motion instead of going with two hands. I think maybe they keep the call on the field, but that's a tough call. When I don't know what he was thinking. If you're a Denver fan, that's got to be devastating. Because, again, they had to have drilled into him over and over and over again. All you have to do is hang on to the football. All you have to do is take a sack. Just take the sack. Just take the sack. They're going to pressure you a lot. There was no mystery on what the Patriots' strategy was going to be defensively. They've been doing it all playoffs. They were going to try to get as much pressure on Stidham as possible. And in those situations, they had to have drilled into him to take the sack, and for him to do that was really the difference in the game.
Yeah, but then it's real game speed. People are running at you real fast, and he panicked. That's what it was. Yep. The abject panic. We brought it up in the first hour, Fred. It wasn't that he was looking downfield. If Bo Nix is there, he's moving laterally to get away from the rush. Jarrett Stidham is backpedaling like he's 8 years old in a Pop Warner game. I mean, that was the difference in the game. Anyone? Hello.
Oh, I thought Fred was going to.
Fred, are you there?
No,
not there.
I'm here.
His pocket presence in the game from the very first possession of the game was clearly he had the deer in the headlights look. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for that moment. I kind of listen. I thought the Patriots were going to win this game going away. I thought it wasn't.
So did I. So as we sat here, and I found it really funny that people were twisting themselves into a pretzel, saying, "You know what, Jarrett Stidham, he's got it." And I was watching the pregame show. Everyone on the field was like, "No, Stidham would be ready. He's been waiting all this time to get revenge on the Patriots, and even though he hasn't thrown a pass in the National Football League in 2 years, he's proven he can do it. Even though he was 1-3 as a starter in his career."
The performance by Stidham in the Broncos offense yesterday is exactly what I was envisioning. And I thought about 16 points was basically the max. And if you look at it, they missed 2 field goals and they passed up another one that they should have kicked from the 11-yard line. So they easily could have had 16 points. But what I didn't see was the other side of the ball. I thought it would be a real bounce-back game for the Patriots offense in May, and that didn't materialize. And some of that was due to the weather. But as the caller just pointed out, the first half had nothing to do with weather, and they were just inept offensively. 12 yards, I think they had in the first quarter. May didn't even throw for 100 yards in the game. So I would say just logically you're going to have to be a lot better than that in 2 weeks to win, but they've been able to get by so far.
Here's the thing, Fred. I wanted to ask you guys this because I was reading about this last night. I forget where I saw this, but the Athletic or CBS Sports or whatever. Are the Patriots really this good, or have they taken advantage of a poor schedule, 3 playoff opponents that were down major players, and got lucky with the weather in Denver yesterday?
Well, I can make the point that Denver was the only time that there was missing your starting quarterback. That was the difference in that game. If Nix is in there, and obviously strategies are different, game plan is different, they're probably much more aggressive. All that being said, if Nix is in that game, you could make a very good argument that Denver wins that. Fine. That's the AFC Championship game. But in the playoffs, I mean, Seattle's in the Super Bowl, and they're missing a major offensive piece. I mean, teams are going to be down players. Now, the Patriots have been extraordinarily lucky this year. Extraordinarily lucky in their health. I mean, it's quite amazing how healthy this team is. But, look, the Chargers were down those offensive linemen, for a lot of that season. You got to be able to win a playoff game missing a wide receiver. These are just things that happen in the playoffs. So, look, the schedule is really easy. And, Paul, my thought coming out of yesterday and coming out of this playoff run is that maybe the offense looked this good over the course of the season partially because of the schedule. They played a lot of bad defenses. And now that they're in the playoffs and they're playing against elite defenses, which they will again in the Super Bowl, it's kind of brought them back down to earth. I think it's shown what a great coach Vrabel is. But the only thing that this playoff run has shown in terms of how easy their schedule is to me is that the offense isn't as good as it was in the regular season because maybe that was the level of competition.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on our post-game show last night, and if you want to you want to go down the negative road, that's an easy path to take right there. If the Patriots had lost the game, we'd be having a lot of very different conversations. We'd be talking about Drake May and his ability to play in bad weather because you had, some, 3 games that were different brands of weather. None of them were ideal, and he didn't play as well as he played in the regular season. Your schedule talk, Fred, you played 3 pretty good defenses, 3 top 10 defenses, and the offense didn't look anywhere near as productive as it did in the regular season. So sort of lending credence to the whole, well, they didn't play anybody theory, right? But the defense just rose to the occasion and bailed them out, and no one cares about any of that stuff. And they shouldn't, because no one's going to make you give the Super Bowl trophy back if you win it in 2 weeks because Nico Collins didn't play or because Bo Nix didn't play. It's all irrelevant stuff at this point. But Fred's point about the offense and the drop in production at least being partially tied to the level of competition that you played is you got to at least give it some thought.
And it doesn't take anything away. Look, this team was – no one thought this team was going to the Super Bowl. They're going to the Super Bowl. They beat 3 quality opponents. There's no question about it. This doesn't take anything away. But if the question on the table is what is different in the playoffs than in the regular season, is that your offense isn't nearly as good in the playoffs as it was in the regular season. And that the reason for that could be the weather, certainly. Your offense was better. By the way, your offense was better than the 3 offenses you played, obviously. So, on a scale, you had the better offense. But just in terms of the way that it functioned, now the Super Bowl will be a great test of that because obviously I don't know how big a factor weather is going to be. But say that the weather's fine, you're up against a great defense, and we'll see what you do there, and we can see if it's weather or if it's the actual offense. And, because if you look at that offense, it's, bereft of talent, high-end talent in a lot of positions, and they kind of patchworked it together. And, Paul, there's no way in the beginning of the season you thought the offense would have played as well as it did. Did you?
No,
yeah.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Even after going through training camp, there were no indications that this offense was ready to break out the way it did, and May was going to play like that. No chance.
Yeah, so Diggs is coming off a major injury. He's older. Booty hadn't done anything his entire career. You got Mac Hollins and Pop Douglas. Who expected much out of them? You got a rookie running back, and you got Ramondre Stevenson. And Ramondre Stevenson's a solid running back, but he's not some all-pro caliber player going into this season. You have a rookie left side of your offensive line. You have a journeyman bad center, guy coming in that was considered bad. Morgan Moses is old and injured and a great locker room guy, but the idea that he played as much as he did is insane.
Played every game.
The physical agony that guy must be in, knowing his career, and that he played every game, that's as big a shock as anything, and it proves the toughness of the guy, which you knew going into the season. But in May's a second-year quarterback who showed he had a lot of physical ability last year, but he was learning a McDaniels offense that was supposed to be very complicated and very hard to learn. And, he was going to need some runway to be able to do that. And that all clicked. I don't think anyone with a brain in their head would have thought this offense would have been as good as it was. And, that probably showed a little bit in the playoffs. But again, I just think Vrabel set a precedent now with coaches there's 10 head coaches that are going to have a lot of pressure on themselves this year. and that's the 10 new coaches in this league. Because if you take over a team, if you have any semblance of a quarterback, there's going to be an expectation. And that's not even just from the Patriots end. Look at what McDonald did in Seattle with Darnold. I mean, that Seattle defense didn't play particularly well yesterday, and Darnold won him that game. So a lot of pressure. No excuses now.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up McDonald as a second-year guy, Fred. You know, just in terms of the pressure that these new coaches, you got Liam Cohen in Jacksonville, you know, has a really solid first year, and Ben Johnson in Chicago, you know, had a really solid first year. Vrabel is certainly at the top of that list in the Super Bowl, but you know, you look around, there's 4 coaches right there that are in either their first or second year with their teams having tremendous success. I agree with Fred. I think that's a lot of pressure on the new guys.
The other part of the problem was the talent pool is so shallow this year, coaching-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, the only really hot name that's left out there is Clint Kubiak, who is probably going to take a job after the Super Bowl. But other than that, you're still going to have 3 vacancies and just a random pool of nobody cares. I mean, you want to talk about pressure on guys that aren't equipped to deal with it? Just wait till you get the final 3 hires in the National Football League after Kubiak goes off the board.
You just never know. Like, who would have predicted Liam Cohen would have a 12-win season
after that press conference?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was believe me, I studied that like the Zabruta film. Donovan, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Fred, I agreed with everything that you were saying a minute ago about how this team doesn't have the talent and the schedule kind of hit that for them. There's just no way that they were supposed to make it this far and play this well, but the offense disappears in games. And I think we talk so good about Stephon Diggs, but is he really a number 1 guy? Is he the top guy, a top 5 guy in the league? He's just not. And I think, Henderson needs to have a better season. And you have huge holes in the offensive line. And I understand you got a 21 and a 22-year-old on your left side. I mean, you really got to figure something out there or just hope they get better. I don't know which way they go, but
that's extraordinarily negative for a team going into a Super Bowl. I'll have to say, Donovan.
I mean, I know I work for Patriots.com
and all. Next level, man.
Wow. That tended negative.
All right,
the game was fun. I'm glad they won, but
thank you, Donovan.
think the
I
offense
appreciate
is a problem.
Well, listen, thank you, Donovan. The point was raised. Paul had brought up the strength of schedule, and I took his point, and I said, yeah, the thing that you learned about the schedule is maybe that the offense wasn't as good as it appeared to be in the regular season. That being said, the offense was better than the offenses they played in every situation. Like, I know Herbert looked scrambled and hurried up the whole game, but then you played Stroud and Stidham, who lost the games for their teams. Now, the guy didn't. So that's 3 games. That's not a coincidence. I mean, you were able to confuse and make 3 guys crap themselves, and you got a 23-year-old kid that didn't, on the road in bad weather, didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
There's something to be said for that. And I was sort of applauding the Patriots because they don't have a lot of high-end talent on this offense. They just don't. And so they were able to overcome all of that and have the kind of season they did is very impressive. Look, Mike Reese is going to be joining us. And Perillo and Reese on the phone together, you almost got to let them – you just got to let them loose.
Let them chop it up.
Yeah, you got to just let the crates open and let these 2 dogs rumble. All right, so we will have Mike Reese on in just a moment. it's never changed. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. It's just never good. It wasn't funny the first time.
Toucher and Hardy, mornings on the Sports Hub.
What effort out there tonight, going to the Super Bowl, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty cool. So just proud of this team, proud of the defense. We didn't play our best ball in the first half, and the second half came out and just battling the elements, snow and the elements, and it was a gritty win, and our defense, they stepped up. It was fun to watch.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy, who is cruising the seven seas on a 90s cruise featuring TLC and Better Than Ezra, Tonic. These are all things that are... Mike Reese, those are not bands. Mike Reese from ESPN, of course. Mike Reese, those are not bands that you're particularly interested in, are they? A 90s cruise is not so much for you as an 80s cruise. Am I correct?
Fred, I had no idea what you were just talking about. What were those names again?
Okay, so Hardy is on a 90s cruise. He's being paid to be on a 90s music cruise. It features bands from the 90s, Smash Mouth, Better Than Ezra.
Oh, yeah, I know them, yeah.
TLC, Tonic.
Oh,
That's not for you. You would like 80s more.
It wouldn't be like at the top of my list, Fred, but you could twist my arm. I would join you. I would join you if we didn't have to report on the Super Bowl.
Right. But if I throw Tesla, Bryan Adams, and I guess Foreigner on a boat, what are you saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We were there
better.
yesterday. Yeah.
80s cruise would be like Billy Ocean, Quiet Riot, Glass Tiger. That's the 80s cruise right there.
Nice.
Well, good luck getting
great Glass Tiger pull.
There's no Kevin DeBrow, so I don't. Well, Smash Mouth's on that boat. Yeah. All right. So, Mike Reese, where are you right now? Are you still in Denver, Colorado?
Still in Denver, Colorado. Good morning, Fred, Paul, John. Great to be with you this morning. Going to be stuck here through tomorrow. I think most of us that had flights today, I think they canceled them. So we'll all be heading back tomorrow. The team's going to try to get back today, and last I heard, that's still going to happen.
Okay. So, Mike, what did you have the Patriots in the preseason? What did you think your predictions were going to be?
So I remember this, Fred. I was on with our afternoon guys, Beatles, Zoe, and Tim, and we were talking about win projections. And I said, I feel comfortable going 8-10, in that range. And I think I remember saying a successful season would be if we get to that bye week in early December and they're still alive, in the playoffs, and maybe they can catch a little momentum down the stretch. And if they can get into the playoffs, that would be a great sort of foundational building block. But I think there was one day, Fred, that I think I had to pick a number and I went to the lower side. I was more to the 8 side. I figured double the wins from last year. That's still pretty good.
All right. So we were talking about the differences between the regular season and the playoffs in regards to the offense. What did you learn about the offense this postseason? Do you think that the way they performed in the regular season, that if the one tangible thing that maybe you could take out of the regular season's schedule, do you think the offense is playing as well as it did during the regular season was a result of the schedule, basically, is the best way to ask it?
No, I don't think so, Fred. I don't think I would say that. I think probably because I think you're looking at what Drake said after the game, where he said they haven't played their best offense in the playoffs. I sort of credit the opponents. I think they just faced 3 of the best defenses in the league. I think a lot of teams struggle against those defenses, and maybe I'm too easy on that, and certainly they can play better, but I think it's more about the other team than what they're doing.
Well, in fairness, May could win the MVP, and, he threw for 80 yards yesterday, and the first half was not weather-related. So it's not even a negative. Your offense played better than the 3 teams that you played. Your quarterback never crapped himself the way that the other quarterbacks that you played did. So it's not taking anything away. It's just projecting forward to the Super Bowl May obviously wasn't as effective in these 3 games. Do you think it was weather? Do you think it was the defenses? How did you read that?
So I think each one was different, Fred. I think that there's the first couple games, obviously the turnovers were a big part of it. There were none in this game. I thought that was huge. I think this is a game where obviously the first half offensively, it's going to be hard to win. If that's what it is over 4 quarters. They got the running game going. I think that's the main thing. I think that if you're asking me, and I haven't watched it over yet, what happened in the first half? They were trying so hard to get the running game going, using the short passing game as an extension of the run game, and they couldn't get it going. And then they went into halftime and they got it going in the second half. And I think you saw a different offense.
Mike, what did I want to switch sides of the ball. Going into the playoffs, were you expecting the kind of dominant defensive performances that they've gotten, really in all 3 games? And I know that they didn't play, the most high-powered offenses in football, and there was some personnel missing. But I don't know about you, Mike, but I was not expecting the kind of dominant performance on that side that we've seen all 3 weeks.
Paul, not at all. I mean, this has been you're right. Like, this is the reverse of what Fred was just talking about with the offense. The defense is playing at another level. Milton Williams, he's looking like the best defensive tackle in the league. Some of the disruption that he's creating, and they just seem very connected, at all 3 levels, and not too many busts. I guess you still see some. We saw Gonzalez got beaten on the long play. I don't know how much the safety was a factor there, and the touchdown that the Broncos scored looked like on the safety there, maybe Hawkins. But, man, those are few and far in between, Paul, and that can take you far, as we've seen this postseason, right?
Absolutely. And, I just think the pressure that they've been able to create has really, helped out. I thought yesterday was a perfect example of the way the coaches always talk about marrying the pressure with the coverage. And, Stidham was just overwhelmed, I thought, from the start.
I'm going to pull up some stats. They give us some great stats at ESPN, and there was big pressure stats on how much the Patriots put pressure. So here's one. So they had 16 pressures in the game, according to ESPN stats, Paul, and they had 57 pressures in the postseason, which is, according to ESPN tracking, the 5th most pressures in a postseason since 2009. So that sort of quantifies what you're talking about.
Microphone on. But even having said all of that, because it was such a close game, if Bo Nix plays that game for Denver, does Denver win?
I don't know, John. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that was a second half masterclass by the Patriots in terms of shaping the way they played, John, to the conditions, and maybe they would have opened it up a little more if Bo Nix was playing and they faced more pressure. So I guess here's what I would say, John. Would Denver have scored more than 7 points if Bo Nix was playing? I would say yes. I think that I get your question. I think that's fair. But would the Patriots have scored more than 10 if Bo Nix was playing? I would say yes, because I think the way they played in the second half was much more decisive.
We were talking about the turnover, the very huge turnover by Jarrett Stidham, and how he did not handle the pressure very well at all. And our argument was, Nix probably doesn't make that mistake to hand the Patriots a touchdown like that. And that might have changed the game a little bit.
Yep. I do think that that's fair. It's a hard hypothetical, John, to say if he would have played, what would have happened. I think, and I get it, and you might be right. I just think the way the Patriots adjusted and changed in the second half, it's hard to know how that would play out, because even if Bo Nix was playing, Patriots adjust and change like they did the second half, maybe they still get the job done.
Yeah, Vrabel, like you said, put on a masterclass the way that he was able to adapt in these games is quite impressive. And certainly the Patriots were playing an ultra conservative game in the second half offensively, which is, a credit to them, because really May was just asked to not make a major mistake, and he was able to do that.
Fred, I can't amplify how hard the conditions were for ball handling, for the operation, how that environment, how loud it was. What, did they have any false starts? They have maybe one.
Campbell had one. I know
that was the only
Campbell
penalty. That was the only penalty in the game.
I mean, this is the stuff, guys. I know the offense, and I'm not defending it in the first half. I think they had 72 yards or 77 yards.
They didn't really have anything in the second half either. I got to be honest with you. They didn't move the ball in the game. They had one drive that was basically Drake May scrambles.
Yeah,
that's right. And that all fair. I think what they had to do was make sure they didn't make a mistake.
Absolutely.
Right. This was like playing keep away. And so, yeah, I get everything that we're saying. I think it's all fair. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
I thought the key to the game was May's ability and the offense's ability to make sure they didn't hand any free points. Stidham handed them 7.
That's it.
And
May
protected the ball, and that was the difference in the game.
This is the other thing about Drake May, who obviously had a fantastic season, but watching these 3 games and his ability not to turn the ball over in a huge situation under a lot of pressure, especially yesterday on the road, is just another layer of information about him we didn't have entering this postseason. We knew he was good. We knew he could make plays with his feet. He fitting the ball into small windows. That touchdown pass to Diggs against Houston is one of those great throws. But we didn't know if he would hold up in a situation like yesterday. And that's just another example of how big this draft pick was for the Patriots.
I like it, John. And I would just say, for me, what I like to do is identify what I think are the big storylines going into the game, and then not forget about it after the game if, and move on to the next one without sort of acknowledging what we were saying before the game. And I just want to say, before the game, Drake had 6 fumbles in the first 2 playoff games. I think he had lost 3 of them.
Yep.
And I'm out here all week, guys, even talking on TV, protecting the football is a key for Drake May in the game. And then he does it. I don't want to just move on and not acknowledge it and focus on, he only had 80 whatever passing yards. I think he played the way that he needed to play to win in this game. Will that be enough in the Super Bowl? Obviously not. They're going to need more, and they won't have the same conditions in Santa Clara.
I think just the interesting thing about it is, a credit to the Patriots is that they had to win so much differently in the playoffs than they did in the regular season.
Yeah.
And the ability to adjust per game circumstances is impressive, because obviously the Patriots were not pressing to score. They were not, they were not pushing the ball downfield, certainly in the second half, and that was smart. And so, and again, you played 3 quarterbacks that played very poorly, and your quarterback didn't. Your quarterback outplayed all 3 quarterbacks, and those are 3 NFL quarterbacks, 2 former All-Pros. So, and I'm sure that Herbert, not All-Pros, Pro Bowlers, and I'm sure Herbert will be a Pro Bowler this year. So, we'll see. Mike Reese, well, enjoy your day in Denver. I mean, check the local dailies to see if there's any shows in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can get out to Red Rocks or something. You do yourself a favor. Maybe John Tesh is out there and you could see that. All right. Well, Mike, I'm sorry you're stuck in Denver, but thank you for calling us.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Safe travels, Mike. We'll see you when you get back.
Mike does not seem overly excited about being stuck in Denver for a day.
Yeah, you know what? And I know Mike is probably – I'm probably as tight with Mike as anybody in the media. And Mike, the one thing that is a constant, Fred, is energy with Mike. And that sounded like a guy who didn't have much Mike Reese energy today.
Yeah, that sounded like a defeated man.
He was a little beaten down.
Yeah, that was – listen, he's stuck in Denver. So I guess that's not exactly something that the Board of Tourism wants to put on their billboards.
He's probably gone 3 days without a concert too. So that's tough.
I don't know what. Like he didn't even play along. I thought he might really be looking for a show. I wasn't kidding. I was like, if you need to kill time, someone's playing somewhere, and he was just like, no. So
Freddie, you want me to drop a few notches in your book? I'll make an admission for you. I did enjoy a concert with Mike Reese once, and it was last May. We went to see Barry Manilow.
Oh, well, you got to see Manilow if he's in town because he's alive.
What was the average age of the people in the building?
Mike and I, my wife, Matt Smith from the Patriots also went, and his wife, and I think we were definitely in the ballpark of the youngest people, but I was surprised. I was surprised that we weren't the youngest people in the audience.
Lots and lots of old gay people. Lots and lots of old gay people.
You know what I found? There were a lot of daughters that took their mothers. Like 30-somethings that took their mothers to the show. It was a wonderful night, Fred.
Well, I can't wait for my daughter to take me to see whatever surviving gay artists are around. All right, thank you. We will be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines. Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy today. Obviously, it snowed quite a bit, and I am broadcasting from home because I didn't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and dig out. It's funny because my dog has never experienced, my dog's 3, and so my dog's never experienced anywhere near this kind of snow. And I let him outside. He did not want to go. And then he went outside and then came right back in. He did not like that. So I'm having to keep him in the crate now because I know if I don't, he's going to pee all over the place. And I don't really know what to do because, first of all, I'll read this. Is Blind Scott says, can you get your kids to come on the air with you? That's not strange at all. And then I find this funny. It drives people crazy because you're a better parent than them. That is true. I'm a better parent than everyone. They think that you're an a-hole for doing that, for putting my kids on the air. Yeah, the daily my kids come on the air segment, people don't like that. Every day at 8:20, I put my kids on the air. Doing that, which is the complete opposite. It shows other blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that the only kid that's here is, I have 2 kids. My son is here because I had him sleep here so he could help me dig out.
Smart. Very smart.
Right, because I don't justify a plow, and I also don't justify the length of my driveway doesn't justify having a snowblower. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to invest in those things. So, but the thing is that I'm going to, immediately after the show, I'm going to have to wake him up and get him out, or my dog is going to explode, because there has to be some sort of path given out for this animal, because it was not like this when I went to bed last night. When I went to bed last night, there was not this kind of snow. Do we know what it's supposed to do today, John?
We're supposed to get another 3 to 6 this afternoon, this evening.
6 inches of snow again?
That's what the weather people are saying. We're supposed to, starting at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and going into the evening, we're going to get another round.
Oh, I'm going to broadcast from home again tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Oddly, Fred, the roads really weren't that bad this morning.
I wasn't concerned about the roads. Yeah. I'm not a total puss. I'm not. I wasn't scared about the roads. I just didn't want to. I mean, the way the snow drifted. I mean, my car is up to and I drive a Bronco. It's up to the door. I just didn't want to get up and dig out. And they're like, you can get a hotel room, and all you have to tell Beasley is, you don't want to give me a hotel room? You want to save a little cash? And they're like, oh yeah, broadcast from home. So I bought one deal 2 deals ago. When I was negotiating with Rich really wanted to broadcast from Nantucket, when he had this place in Nantucket. Yep. And so we had identical contracts, so he said he wanted something in there that we could broadcast remotely. So, the company agreed to it. So I bought this. This is before COVID. I bought this expensive-ass thing to dial into the radio station. So when I was telling them to book me a hotel room, I went, I have to justify this machine. I hate broadcast. I really do hate broadcasting from home, especially now on this show, since I don't mind coming in. I like coming in. I don't mind broadcast. But I really don't like broadcasting from home. But no, I don't have covered parking, so I did not. I technically do, but I don't use it.
That was my theory about it, because I came in from home early this morning. It was either get a hotel room and then dig your car out, spend about 20 or 25 minutes digging your car out, or put your car in the garage. And I paid someone to plow me out this morning, and the roads weren't bad, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, well, listen, John, you live a life of leisure.
Yes,
Perillo
I do.
and I mean, it's almost cruel to Perillo and I to suggest that
flaunting his wealth in front of me.
I mean, a plow guy to come in that, just a la carte, just, hey, you know who I am. I'm wall game. I'm essential employee.
That's what I tell them. Don't you know who I am? I'm wall game.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I tell everybody.
There is something very depressing, though, about when the Patriots make the Super Bowl that we generally get pummeled with gigantic storms. This has got and they're playing out west. This has got Arizona vibes all over.
Oh, no. And I was talking to my wife about this. 11 years ago when the game was in Seattle, I remember we all got on the same flight, and it was literally 2 hours before this huge snowstorm hit. Yeah. And then the area got walloped with another one while we were in Phoenix. But I don't know if you remember this, Fred. When we got back, we got crushed again.
Yeah, we were even the team coming back was a whole day. We were 24 hours delayed, and they played Seattle then, and we're playing Seattle now.
That's right.
So, yeah, it does have those vibes.
Yeah, and that was one of the worst weeks of my life. So because we were in Phoenix and coming on the air at
3 a.m. At 3 or 4 a.m.
Getting up at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, we will be back in just a moment. Who are the Patriots playing? There's no way anyone knows, but we will get to how we got. We'll do a little around the NFL coming right up.
I paid someone to plow me out this morning.
Toucher and Hardy will be right back on the Sports Hub.
to give the Broncos the lead, but he also had a fumble in the second that led directly to a Drake May touchdown run and added a killer interception to Christian Gonzalez late. May both threw and ran for under 100 yards, but it was enough.
What effort out there tonight, going to the Super Bowl, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty cool. So just proud of this team, proud of the defense. We didn't play our best ball in the first half, and the second half came out and just battling the elements, snow and the elements, and it was a gritty win, and our defense, they stepped up. It was fun to watch.
Andy Borregales' 23-yard field goal in the third quarter proved to be the difference. The Patriots completed their first ever playoff win in Denver to advance to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. Their opponent in the big game will be Seattle. They beat the LA Rams 31-27 in the NFC Championship game. Sam Darnold, 3 touchdown passes for the winners. So it's the Patriots against the Seahawks for the title a week from Sunday. Seattle is an early 5-point favorite. Bruins play in New York against the Rangers tonight. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 6:30 and the face-off at 7 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. And the Celtics entertain Portland at TD Garden tonight. Namias Keita questionable with a sore ankle. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7:30 and the tip-off at 8 over on 105.7 WROR. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Mass Energy. Stay warm and safe this winter with heating oil, renewable bioheat fuel, and propane. Brought to you by the members of the Massachusetts Energy Marketers Association. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
New England plays here.
Ball down the right side. It's a separation. Touchdown pass.
Yes.
Perfect dime from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Individuals who seek acceptance, respite, and care.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Around the NFL with Toucher and Hardy.
Hit somebody.
We are Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy today as he sails the 7 seas on his cruise from Tampa to Key West to Nassau.
Every time you say that, I can't help but think of Sarge when you say sail the 7 seas. Is that wrong?
No, that's a big Sarge clip that we have. Is Sarge doing some songs, sea-oriented.
Yes.
But he's on a 90s cruise, but he's being compensated. So he has that going for him. Around the NFL, by the way, you can watch this on YouTube and see my room in my home that I never use. It's very exciting. It's a room in my home that never, ever, ever do I ever go into except for when I am broadcasting from home.
Razzle dazzle.
That's right, Sarge. Around the NFL is brought to you by Joyce Cooling and Heating in Nashua. Tired of it being cold around the house? Get up to $2,400 in rebates and tax credits when you upgrade to a high-efficiency Lennox system and start saving big in 2026. Schedule right online at joycecool.com. Now, we know the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, which sounds very strange to say, even though going into yesterday, I think we all believed they would. But who are they going to play? I'll tell you, when you have to focus that much on one game, the first half of the lesser game, certainly not the lesser game in terms of gameplay, but the lesser game in terms of local importance, very difficult to focus on. I found it very difficult to switch over and start paying attention to it. I managed to get my attention back. I am like everyone else, have lost my entire ability to concentrate on one thing. So at the second half, I was able to focus in more. But, John, it was in Seattle, the Rams, who everyone just about had, even though they were an underdog, had in the Super Bowl. I do believe in Vegas I believe they were the Vegas, more people put money on L.A. to win the Super Bowl than anyone else.
Yeah, and that was the consensus. It was going to be Buffalo and the Rams in the Super Bowl. Just about everyone had that picked at the beginning at the beginning of the playoffs. So the Rams are right there, Fred. NFC Championship game against the top-seeded Seattle Seahawks, and Seattle took the early lead.
Starts up the middle. He's going to bounce it right side. He goes in. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Zach Charbonnet out with a torn ACL, so it's Kenneth Walker's game, and he scored early to make it 7-0. The Rams came back to take a third. Oh, yeah.
But just real quick, it was like Michigan State Kenneth Walker. I thought they were going to end up giving him the ball 45 times the way they played at the beginning of that game. Kenneth Walker looked like Barry Sanders. Now that stopped, but in the beginning of that game, he was electric.
And the other part about it was they've been hesitant to do that with him. I mean, it's been a timeshare with Charbonnet now for a couple of years, but now forced to give him the football. They
used a high pick on him. Yeah. I believe he was an early second-round pick. I believe. I know he was a second round
too. He's a good player, though. I know, Fred, obviously you know him from the Michigan State days. He's a good player, but that was a good mix they had with him and Charbonnet. They'll miss that.
Did you think that's Charbonnet was a third down back situation?
Sort of. Yeah, he was a change of pace kind of guy. But John's right. They did a good job, I thought, of sort of evening out the workload for him, because Walker has been a guy who, when healthy, has been productive, but he's had a hard time staying healthy. I mean, that was an impressive offensive performance all around for Seattle yesterday. Darnold, probably played the game of his life.
Yeah,
I'm not lying to you that Walker. I was telling my son this yesterday. Walker might have touched the ball 30 times a game for Michigan State.
Oh, I remember.
And so it's just like I'm not surprised he's having trouble staying healthy.
It's funny. I see a pattern. Yeah. First, it was Le'Veon Bell, who touched the ball game 40 times a game for Michigan State. And then it was Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, they ride. At least past coaches would, to great success, by the way. But they would ride these kids. Yeah, you went to Michigan State. You were shortening your career about 5 years. All right, go ahead.
All right, LA came back to take a 13-10 lead after that Walker touchdown, but Seattle went up 17-13 at the half on a Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba. So it's 17-13. Starting the second half, it was still 17-13 Seahawks in the third quarter, and the Rams made a huge special teams mistake.
Michael Dixon will punt. Xavier Smith, the deep man for the Rams. And this again, another rainmaker, high spiral. Smith falls down. Ball, Seahawks. Smith backing up, trying to call fair catch. Falls down, and the ball hits him. The Seahawks recover, and they are inside the 20-yard line.
All right, the funny part about this was, hearing this guy was both Sosi and Zolak. He calls ball. After the ball is fumbled, usually Zolak's the one to jump in.
He leaves out some words there. There's no articles in his sentences. It's like, ball, Seahawks.
That's right.
You wouldn't get the vibe, man. You don't get that vibe in Seattle with the 12th man out there.
Trying to call fair catch. There's words missing.
You know what sucks is for that kid that they pulled him.
Yeah.
They pulled him out of the game.
Well, he fumbled in the first half, too. He was he was able to recover it, and that was the Rams' undoing all year. Special teams cost them 3 or 4 games, and it cost them the game last night.
So the fumble opened up the door for Sam Darnold, who, as you were just alluding to, Fred, had a really big night last night.
Sam Darnold now goes under center with Walker behind him. Wideouts to both sides, play fake. Darnold looks. Now he's going to throw back to the end zone. It's caught. Touchdown! Seahawks. Jake Bobo might have been the third guy in the progression, but he lines up left side, gets under the goalpost, and Sam just throws a rope. A 17-yarder, and the Seahawks extend their lead.
All right, who had the Bobo anytime touchdown?
Was that like his third catch of the year or something?
Like that, I know.
Yeah. Not a household name, but we all remember him from UCLA as I look up his career.
Good job, Fred. I was going to give you credit for that. You should have told me you looked it up.
Well, I would have had to kick my own ass. I mean, I think I would have been setting myself up for a real problem. Yeah, he had 2 regular season targets.
Oh, my God.
2 regular season receptions for 20 yards.
Yeah, and he scores a touchdown there, and all of a sudden, it's an 11-point game, and the Rams had to chase for the rest of the night. They did get it to 24-20. Matthew Stafford, touchdown pass to Devontae Adams, but once again, Sam Darnold answered.
Play action pass. Spins his head around.
That's the wrong highlight, ladies and gentlemen. That is the wrong highlight. That is the wrong highlight. So it's
Is it the
31.
wrong highlight?
It is. It is. It looks like it was lights out. Seattle had the Rams stopped on third down at midfield after a Darnold touchdown pass made it 31-20. So Seattle had the Rams stopped on third down at midfield, but a taunting penalty gave L.A. some life, and then Matthew Stafford took advantage on the next play.
Play action pass. Spins his head around, and he whistles one to the end zone. Caught by Puka at the front left pylon. On one strike, Matthew to Puka. He puts it in the paint, and the Rams are back.
Oh, I missed that guy. That's
You're
the one
popping
reason.
peas on purpose.
I, honest to God, wanted the Rams to make the Super Bowl just so we could get more of that guy. He's fantastic.
It's a tough
He's
listen.
the worst. He's the worst.
I agree, Fred. That guy's a tough listen.
No, we did a segment on him. He's got like a cute thing to say about everything. He calls the end zone the paint. It's very annoying.
Not a big fan of the first name thing either.
Oh no, huge. And you know what? With the cute names for everything, it's all Olbermann and Patrick's fault. They 30 years ago, you have some success with the nicknames, and now every jackass has got to try to be cute. It's just so annoying. But yes, the first names are annoying as well.
So that made it 31-27. L.A. back in the game in the fourth quarter. And L.A. actually had a chance to go ahead. They had the ball 4th and 4 at Seattle 6 with 5 minutes left and all 3 timeouts left. Now, here's the major decision of the night for Sean McVay. If you kick it, you're down 1. You still have all 3 timeouts left. He chose not to. Incomplete pass in the end zone, and L.A. really never had another chance, and they lose by 4. I ask both of you, which would you have done? Do you agree with McVay or not?
I'd have kicked the field goal to get within 1. Now, ultimately, I don't think it would have mattered because Seattle, did a good job of melting the clock from there in the last 5 minutes. But I would have kicked the field goal and put some pressure on.
I would have kicked the field goal too.
Yeah.
In fact, after this playoff, I think that everyone's got to go back to the drawing board and really analyze the analysis. That, is this information that we're getting? Because, it's all math and everything, but it's math. I don't know how, quantitative it is. I don't know how, it's all, an opinion has to be in there somewhere, right? If you, just because they crunch numbers and they say there's this percentage chance, there's a lot of things that aren't factored in there. So, it's presented to people like, oh, well, math says to do this. Yeah, but it's not scientific. There are things that aren't, variables that are not put into play there.
It's just good football if you give your team a chance.
My point is that it's presented as fact, that the numbers say this, and I would say even the numbers aren't factual because there's a lot of variables.
Right.
I don't think, science, like medicine, has that many unknown variables. There's still a huge human element to it. So you look at the Chicago game that they lost, you look at Denver yesterday, you look at the Rams. I mean, a lot of times, especially in the playoffs, maybe that game, I don't feel as strongly about that as I did about Denver kicking a field goal, because you could just see what kind of dogfight that game was going to be. But, I've seen too many games this season, even come down to final drives where a field goal would have won or tied it, but a team chose to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, I would agree, Fred. It wasn't anywhere near as egregious as Sean Payton passing up a 2-score lead. You could make an argument that they were there. It's 4 yards. You take a chance to take the lead with under 5 minutes left, and maybe you don't get another chance. Ultimately, they didn't get another chance, really. They got a couple of plays at the end.
Nakua was in bounds at the end. That was a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and McVay only had 1 timeout. He had challenged. Had he failed a challenge, or had he just blown through those timeouts?
I think he used. I think he just used the timeouts. But yeah, I mean, you can make an argument that they hadn't. The defense hadn't really come up with a lot of stops, so maybe they thought that was their best opportunity. But like I said, I don't think that was an egregious error. I would have kicked the field goal, got within 1, and then see if you can get the ball back. And like you said, Fred, there's a big difference at the end there if all you need is a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were throwing to get the ball to midfield. If you get the ball to midfield, you have a field goal attempt. That's the thing. You only have to get the ball to the other team's 45-yard line as opposed to going the length of the field, which is what they had to do. They started inside their own 10.
Right.
Plus, you got a real fire hydrant for a kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a guy that's all one body part. He's an Oompa Loompa. Have you seen that kicker that they picked up in the middle of the season?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Harrison Mevis.
There's
the thicker kicker.
That's right. I mean, but not just thick in the bottom and legs. We're talking his head down. It's just one straight line. There's no contour to it. It's like a building block. You got to love him.
Yeah, instead of flinging balls and hoping for a Hail Mary from midfield, you had a chance to maneuver to midfield and go win the game. I mean, that 4th and 4 changed the season. I understand that Seattle did drive it. They did take time off the clock, but still, I mean, we've seen drives set up field goals that happen in less time than the Rams had.
And Nakua, tries to get out of bounds with like 3 seconds left, and he's just not able to do it. Got his knee down inbounds. It was the correct call. And that's a good thing, too, because Seattle was already celebrating in the field.
Yeah.
So it would have been funny if they would have had to bring everyone back.
All right, real quick, Fred, a couple of post-game quotes from Sam Darnold. First, after throwing for 346 yards and 3 touchdowns, he's happy to be where he is.
I'm happy to be a part of this team, man. This group and this coaching staff is just, I'm really happy to be here. Happy to be in this position. I'm just going to continue to do the best that I can to put this team in positions to win football games.
But that wasn't the question we all wanted here. Of course, the question we all wanted here was the media to ask him about seeing ghosts when he came to Foxborough when he played for the Jets 6 years ago. Sam, your thoughts?
There was a lot that I didn't know back then, so I'm just going to continue to learn and grow in this great game. And there's a lot of stuff that I can get better from today. Even that's the great part about this game is you win an NFC championship and you win games throughout the season, but there's always ways that you can look to get better.
Any chance you have to bring up the boogeymen from 6 years ago is certainly worth it.
I can't believe that was only 6 years ago. It seems like forever.
Yeah, and it also was extraordinarily unfair to him.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the guy's mic'd up. He makes like an offhand comment, and they jump all over it. Sam Darnold, even with his time with the Jets, the media never put it on him. They which is very rare in New York. It was, from all accounts, he was, had a good head on his shoulders. He's obviously extremely physically gifted. There was no reason everyone thought that he couldn't be a highly effective NFL quarterback. He was just a victim of circumstance. So this is good for Sam Darnold. He's an easy guy to root for. When you played audio, I knew it wasn't going to be some braggadocio stuff. So, but there is a big advantage, conceivably, that the Patriots could have in the Super Bowl, and we can discuss that. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Your best morning buddies, Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy today. The Super Bowl is set, 617-779-0985. You have the Patriots against Seattle, and Seattle is a 4.5-point favorite right now. We'll see how that line moves. I'd imagine the Patriots get some action on them. Maybe that line goes down a little bit. But you look at it, and, I guess in some metrics, Seattle had the best defense in the NFL. And Sam Darnold played very well. But Sam Darnold's been up and down this season. Paul, do you think it's safe to say that the Patriots have the quarterback advantage in this game?
I don't know, Fred. Not the way the offense is trending. Normally going into the playoffs, I would have said absolutely, not even close. But I haven't seen that brand of Patriots offense. In the postseason.
Seattle, after watching them score all those points last night, and I understand the Rams are different defensively than the Patriots are, but if Seattle gets 24-27, I don't know if the Patriots can match that.
Yeah, and that Seattle defense, and I know, the fans are going to be sick and tired of hearing this. It was the Chargers and, whatever they were, 8th, and Houston was 2, and, Denver's like 2, 3. Seattle's 1. Seattle is as good as a defense as there is in football. Now, the Rams moved the ball last night and obviously piled up plenty of points, but that's a really good defense again. So, Fred, to the point you made earlier in the show, let's give some credit to the defenses that they're playing, that have held the Patriots offense in check, because it's been a step up in class, and I think you're going to get another one of those in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so basically, you thought, how many points did you think the Patriots needed going into the Denver game in order to win?
20. I figured Denver would be hard-pressed to get to 20.
All right. What is your feeling about the Seattle matchup, just looking at it this early?
Probably in a similar way, because I think the Patriots defense has played really well. I don't expect Seattle to have the kind of offensive performance that they did last night. So, yeah, you can get to 20. What did you say, John, 24?
I said if Seattle gets 24-27, I don't think the Patriots can match that.
Yeah, and I think if the Patriots can get to 24, they'll have a really good chance to win the way their defense is playing.
Which is amazing because you think they'll be able to get pressure on Darnold.
Yep.
Because if you blitz Darnold like they've been blitzing these last 3 games, do you think the Seattle can take advantage of that?
That'll be a big key, and obviously they have not paid for, bringing a lot of pressure yet in any of these playoff games. Now, if that's just because of the quarterbacks, we'll find out. Darnold has been a guy who has been a little erratic under pressure, but he hasn't been in this postseason. He's played 2 really good games, and I thought last night he was outstanding, throwing the ball down the field. I think he had to have at least a half dozen throws that were, 10, 15 plus air yards.
Yeah, over almost 350 yards.
It looked like a different sport.
Accurate. Yeah.
I mean, if you watch the AFC Championship game and then you watch the NFC Championship game, it looked like a different sport. Wow, the forward pass exists.
And Jackson Smith-Njigba is legitimately a top 5 receiver in the league. So the challenge will be there. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you got to take Will McDonald before him. That's the big thing that you got to do if you're a franchise. Is you got to, when you need a receiver, you got to take another pass rusher when you just took Jermaine Johnson.
Here's a good question about Christian Gonzalez, who got beat bad early, but was given a gift interception late on a throw that the wind kind of took. Christian Gonzalez has been, touted, but he's believed to be a top 5 cornerback in this league. Is he up to a challenge like that on Super Bowl Sunday?
And that's a different kind of receiver than I think he generally excels against. I think he's had a really strong postseason, Gonzalez. I think that the play that you're talking about, the deep ball to Mims, I think he clearly is expecting Jalen Hawkins over the top. There was something went wrong on that coverage. It wasn't supposed to be him allowing Mims to go by him like that. But Smith-Njigba is a little bit shiftier, more of an inside kind of guy at times, but as productive as anybody. And let me just see some of the catches he made last night. tightly
Well, the
contested.
one-handed, that one-handed
ridiculous.
catch that just stuck to his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple on the sidelines. Even one, like it was. I know it was silly. He was, 3 yards out of bounds. The one at the back of the end zone. Even that catch was silly.
Yeah.
But that'll be a huge matchup. I'd be curious to see if they just match Gonzalez up against them. They haven't done a lot of that this year with traveling guys. They've generally been playing sides. They play a lot of zone, more man lately. But that'll be a huge matchup to watch.
Okay, so does Gonzalez follow him?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question.
That would
Fred.
be different. That would be different than at any other time this year, is what Paul's saying. But again, would you put it by Vrabel to change things up?
No, and I think that would make sense because
Yeah.
he's the best cover guy you have. And Rashid, Shaheed has been, a good pickup for Seattle because they really only had JSN. And now you have this speed guy who's been able to make some plays for you. I would worry about Carlton Davis on him, too, getting beat over the top. So this is a different kind of challenge for them. It's a better offense than they've seen in the playoffs. But at the same time, it's hard to pick against the way the Patriots defense has played.
I have a question.
Well,
go ahead.
real quick
Yeah.
on the topic of Christian Gonzalez. Don't think, Perillo, that your chair is safe because Dan Roach is waiting in the wings, ready to take it away from you.
No, I know.
Because Dan Roach, who will be on Wednesday through Friday, has sent this nugget, if you'd like to hear it.
Uh-oh.
Christian Gonzalez, when targeted in coverage in the fourth quarter of this postseason. Would you like to hear this?
I would.
Now
Are you
he's-
ready for the Super Bowl, baby?
He's just on
You ready?
Saturdays, or this sounds like a Joe Castiglione stat.
Well, listen, Paul, get ready for 2 weeks of breaking it down, baby. Let's get into the statistics. Well, here we go. He's been targeted 8 times. He's allowed 2 receptions, 12 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, and has had an interception that equals a 0. This is a Blukowski. This is a 0.0 passer rating. So let's just say my man's been effective.
Yeah.
Danny Roach sends me the next gen stats. Are you excited for the Super Bowl? Because we can get into it right now if you want to dig into the advanced stats. Would you like to know how Seattle is at giving up short yards on rushes against 50-plus yard rushes?
No,
which
say
was a
that.
stat that was brought up when only a week was between the games. I would like to see what comes up with the 2 weeks between the games. I can't wait to really dig in and get so sick of it. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is 2 weeks of really digging into it to a team that no one has seen played outside of yesterday. That's because when they played that garbage Saturday night game against the 49ers, where yours truly took the 49ers in that game. That's but I mean, it is funny because I don't know, Paul, how much of Seattle have you seen this season?
I mean, a fair amount, but not. It's hard to tell. Last night is one of the times that you can sort of, really get involved in the game. You're watching it, not just red zone. You're watching the drives and the sequences of plays. They're impressive. I mean, their defense has been great all year. Wasn't a great performance by their defense last night, but really physical, fast linebackers, physical corners, and they can get after you up front. So that, to me, is the key. Will be the key to the game, is how well does that Seattle defense play.
I did think this was interesting, though. McDonald is the first coach ever for the Super Bowl team that calls defensive plays, which I found
that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they do bring up that Belichick that they believe that at least in theory the play calling, and we've seen with the last Seattle Super Bowl. There is some fallacy to the credit that Patricia took for that interception. We have all heard the hot mic stuff from NFL Films when Belichick took over that. But in theory, Belichick had someone else calling defensive plays. So that's odd. You don't hear that quite very often. Go ahead, John.
No, I was going to ask him. We were talking about how Seattle's able to get after the quarterback. I was wondering what Paul's opinion was of Will Campbell's day. yesterday.
I thought he struggled again.
He got beat by Benito around the end early. There was that false start penalty as well.
Yeah, I thought he gave up 4 or 5 pretty quick pressures in the game, at least. I thought May did a good job of avoiding some of those with his legs. The one I really didn't like, the one rep, was when he tried to cut Benito. I think it was in the first half.
That's the one where he went around the end. And now
Benito just completely.
He just dove at his legs and missed.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, Benito wasn't even touched.
You
right.
don't
That
generally
killed.
see that on offensive linemen unless it's like a quick screen or quick out, something that's going to be
something
in and
where
out
it's
of the hands.
designed.
Yeah,
or where that's designed. I mean, that happened to Denver a bunch of times. Like whenever Denver tried to run something like that, New England was able to collapse on Stidham. But that's different.
Right.
That's because there were times in that game where you'd go, well, how did right away? How did Denver get on Stidham or how did New England get on Stidham that quickly? And you're like, oh, because the linemen were all pulling and they were allowing these guys to get through because they were running like a screen. But yeah, in the NFL on a drop back, to see a left tackle whiff like that, you don't see that very often. That's a rare moment, in my opinion.
He has definitely struggled in the postseason, and that whole line really they've given up. I think they got sacked 5 times in each game.
Yeah,
all 3 games.
We had talked at length after the Houston win about whether or not Campbell's performance these first 2 games of the playoffs would cause Vrabel and Elliott Wolf to rethink things. Maybe you want to kick Campbell into guard and move Wilson into center and go find another left tackle. Not easy to do, but
no, that might be something down the road. I'd be surprised.
You don't think it'd be happening this offseason?
I'd be surprised if they did it right away. After 1 year, but I wouldn't rule it out because that's been a struggle.
Well, you're going to need a right tackle.
Yep.
Right? Because so drafting if we win, we can go through this exercise. Believe me, there's plenty of time for the next 2 weeks. But if you want to go through the exercise, let's just say Will Campbell could be an all-pro guard. Let's just say that. So if Will Campbell could be an all-pro guard, you need to draft a tackle eventually because Morgan Moses isn't going to play forever. I mean, if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, what do you think the chances of Morgan Moses coming back and playing are? I would guess not great.
0. No, I think you're right about that.
Right. So, this guy is very tough, but he's older and he's played through injuries pretty much, certainly the recent part of his career. And so you got to draft a tackle anyway, and if you bring a tackle in and he overperforms, you bring him in to play right tackle and he overperforms, who knows? I mean, that's at least got to be a thought. Now, it's not something that probably the Patriots are planning, but if a tackle falls to you in the first round that you have highly graded and you bring him in to play right tackle, do you think that's outrageous, Paul, to draft a tackle in the first round if one falls to him?
I don't think it's outrageous, and it's it's a little early for this stuff, and I don't generally dive into it all that deep anyway, but it's supposed to be a pretty deep class of tackles. I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility, them using an early pick, even as early as the first round on a tackle, because you're right. I mean, how much more do you think you're going to get out of Morgan Moses next year? Everybody said he's a great pickup. He's a great guy in the locker room. He's going to be a good leader for the young guys. But he's going to miss 3 or 4 games because that's generally what he does. He didn't miss any. So I don't know if you can roll the dice and expect that again.
Right.
Have you ever seen injury luck like this before with the Patriots team? You have a photographic memory with them. Do you recall this kind of injury luck?
No, this is about as healthy as I can remember a Patriots team being for the balance of a season. Buffalo was kind of similar to this last year. They had really good injury luck. And then this year, it hasn't been the same for them. They've had a lot of guys get banged up. But for the whole year, I mean, basically you're looking at, Antonio Gibson? I mean, they've had, Will Campbell and Milton Williams went on IR and missed 4 games. I think Williams might have missed 5. Mac Hollins just came off of IR, and Gonzalez missed the first 3 games of the year. Like, that's what you're looking at. I mean, in terms of man games missed due to injury, they have to have the fewest in the league, which is that. I mean, that's part of what it takes to have a special season.
Absolutely.
You have to have some luck involved.
And, the return of Spillane, and we'll see where that goes.
Oh, that's true. Did Spillane come back in the second half?
Spillane missed a handful of games, too. He was
yesterday. He went out early.
Did
he come back or
he
not?
didn't come back in the game. But
Fred. No
he
Spillane.
looked like he was ready.
No Spillane for the Super Bowl, Fred.
Fred, they pitched the shutout without Spillane. You imagine that?
Don't get me started on.
Sorry.
You know, I'm giving the tech. Look. I'm like, there's no excuse to Texans. You know, they're missing their number one wide receiver. I mean, there are going to be injuries, but you get local writers on, and they're talking about Spillane like the whole thing, the whole enterprise rolls around. I don't doubt Spillane's important.
He's a good player.
I don't doubt he's a good player, but if he's a guy you cannot afford to lose, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. You're playing teams without quarterback. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Some thoughts about the broadcast yesterday. We'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline.
98.5 The Sports Up. We are Toucher and Hardy. Paul Perillo is in for Hardy today. So it's the AFC Championship game. I bet you there's close to 45 million people watching that game yesterday, maybe more. And thank God, first of all, that Romo and Nance are done. No more Romo. No more Romo for me.
The nose was red yesterday. Did you see that?
Well, who knows? I mean, it wasn't cold in the booth, so
yeah,
maybe it's a WC Field situation. But so you have this unusually large audience in this fragmented age of media, and so two things from the very late pregame. These are leading up to the game. First of all, way to give Bert Kreischer, or whatever the hell his name is, a solid 5 minutes to way to hit on him right at the right time, at the height of his fame. Get him on. You couldn't. Howie Mandel wasn't available. Gallagher wasn't available. I mean, you get a comedian that at the height of, is it Kreischer, right? I don't know.
I don't know either.
The height of his.
I don't know the guy.
Well, there you go. He's got a very funny story about being in college. Now, his career was. There was an article in Rolling Stone about him being the biggest partier in college. He went to Florida State. He's got a very rich family, and he was able to go to Florida State for like 7 years. And there was an article about him, and good for him, he became a famous comedian and podcaster. But you could make an argument that he's been on the downslope of his career for 5 years now. And it's just these networks are so late. It's the worst thing for your career almost as any kind of comedian or any kind of podcaster or anything is the day that you're recognized by a network. It's like, that's it. It's just fascinating to me. So he did that. I don't know if you guys saw it. And
I did.
At the end, he's like, "Can I get to take my shirt off now?" Because everyone knows he performs without a shirt on because it's funny every time. And then they do the national anthem, which was fine. And did you see that flyover?
Yes, the helicopters. Yes.
Woo! Talk about impressive. A nice, slow, leisurely helicopter flyover. It's just like the Blue Angels dipping and diving. Now, just a slow, methodical traffic. Crash used to ride a helicopter every morning. Crash used to be on a helicopter. He'd get up in the morning and get on a helicopter to do traffic. It's not an overly impressive thing to see a formation of helicopters fly over.
That might have been, I can't remember the last time I saw one of those. It's always a jet. It's a B-1 bomber. There are 3 jets. Oh, you had, so I'm wrong?
Patriots had a helicopter last week.
Did they really?
The Houston game, yeah.
Oh, there you have it. All right.
Yeah.
Boy,
my advice is to do nothing.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that helicopters are very difficult to fly. I know Bill Burr can fly one, but I don't doubt they're very, and I don't want to particularly go up in a helicopter. But as a visual and audio, some kind of patriotic overture, you're better off doing nothing. And plus, you already had 2 guys parachute into the stadium, which, by the way, they had a camera on the guy, one of the guys parachuting into the stadium, and they had him, it looked like a quarter mile away, like on his descent, and they took the camera off of him. You're thinking, there's like a bridge or something here. Like he's flying over something. This is cool. Like, I wonder if he's going to make it into the stadium. And they take it off of him and put him on the pregame crew again. I had a lot of notes. I don't care for the CBS broadcast at all. I have many, many notes about it.
Well, let's see. They don't have the Super Bowl this year. They don't have it next year. I think ESPN has it next year. So you don't have to worry about Nance and Romo for a couple of years here.
Perillo, do you like Romo?
I don't. And I didn't really like him, even at the height of his popularity. But now he just seems so unprepared half the time. And I like listening, especially when they're quarterbacks, right? And I think Aikman does a pretty good job of this when he does the ESPN games. I want to hear like game situations from a quarterback's perspective. I don't know if you guys listen at all. Fred, I'm sure you don't, but like the Manning cast on Monday nights.
No.
So one of the things that, when they're not doing the whole grab ass thing, Peyton and Eli bring you inside the huddle of like a 2-minute drill. Like, get out of bounds here, call a timeout there, spike the ball. Like they're on because they've done these things so many times. Romo yesterday, before the field goal, before the 4th and 1 that Peyton goes for, I might kick the field goal here is what I think what he said. I might kick the field goal. Then they don't get it. And he's like, that's why I said that. No, you didn't say that. You said I might kick a field goal here. Like, no, tell me what you think.
Pick a lane.
Yeah.
That's so funny because that's exactly what I was going to say is that he is like this. Everyone praises him for his being able to predict games, but he's not definitive. He's never definitive. He's always on the fence about it, like that. Like, I'm glad you brought that up with the field goal. Or if the refs got something right, he won't. He wants you to think he knows everything, but he'll never just say it. Like, I'd rather you say it and be wrong than, go, hey, he's big on that. Like that whole, I don't know, Jim. Just be definitive. Aikman now has been doing it, and I agree. I think Aikman's very good. I think Collinsworth's very good too, but they have two different styles. Aikman doesn't seem to want to be there, which I really enjoy. And then he just seems to just talk in dry, definitive ways. Like he'll just say, he'll say when a call is wrong, or he'll say when a coach made a bad decision. He doesn't go, I don't know. Oh, I cannot stand it. And I'm like you, Paul. I didn't like Romo when he first started either. I don't need a prediction of the play. That's not impressive to me. You played the game fine. Like, you understand the defense and the situation. You understand all those things. But, just like on a normal 2nd and 8 or something like that, at the end of the game when it's a macro plan of, like, saving time or keeping timeouts.
Yeah.
Those things, that's why you have the guy there, is to kind of, inform you of what a team is trying to do. Not to be Kreskin and tell you predicting the plays. And then they fillet each other when they're right? Like they'll go, like Nance said some easy thing that he said that something was gonna happen. Like there was a vulnerability of someone running or something. I can't remember what it was. And then they spend 10 minutes congratulating each other about how they had predicted it. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's 3rd and 10. I think they're gonna throw. Look for them to throw. And then you're like, oh, wow, look at that. They threw the ball. Like, congratulations, Jim. You were all over that. Right. Should they kick a field goal? Yes. Then say they should kick a field goal. Don't ride the fence on it and have Bert Kreischer or whatever the hell his name is.
It is Kreischer. Yeah, I think you have it right.
And he's a nice guy. I've talked to him before, but he's not a good stand-up, and he's at a very low point in his career. I don't like this.
When I saw that, I thought he must be from Denver or something like that. No.
He's from Florida.
Yeah, he's from Florida. So there was really no reason for him to be there other than he was available.
They could have gotten our friend who wrote Running the Light to do the do the whole opening.
Right, yeah.
He's from Denver. All right, we'll be back with the great Bob Socci in just a moment.
You're listening.
touchdown, back right corner, Cortland Sutton, and Denver strikes first.
Good route.
Stevenson to the right of May. Takes the step. He stands in quarterback draw. Across the 5. Across the goal line right. Touchdown! Patriots!
I tell you, that guy right there, Drake May.
Stidham waits in the shotgun. Stands in. Throws a deep ball down the right side. Gonzalez! Intercept for New England! He waved out a floater. He busted the receiver. He has the pick.
Timed it perfectly.
Fake by May. He's going to run it to the left. He's being chased. Tries to get outside. He does! He's got the first down! Running to the far side. Chasing defender Jonah Ellis. Allow the Patriots to clinch it.
Unbelievable. Hey, America. We're back.
I'm America's worst nightmare.
The worst nightmare has returned. We're going to Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, a couple notes on that. Not so much with the Kyle Van Noy. We're back. I don't care for that. And also, really, this is the nation's worst nightmare. Okay. But it's not as hateable, this team.
Nope.
By any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, we were talking about that off air. Who on this team can you look at and go, that's the villain? That's the guy we have to learn to hate this week.
Yeah, it's a different kind of team. It's not like it was when I think a lot of the vitriol was Belichick related. I think he was a tough guy to sort of root for, the way he grumbled and bickered with everybody all the time. And do you get tired of the same team over and over? Of course you do. And if the Patriots go on a 10-year run like that, people will be sick of this team too. But right now, I agree with Fred. I think it's a likable team. I think Drake May comes off really well, and Vrabel's got great personality. I don't see the hate that people are talking about.
The thing that made me, besides all the things I know of the way he treated people, is Belichick behavior after they lost the Giants in that perfect season in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's another one.
He was. I mean, you gotta have some semblance of that. You're talking to the media after a loss, like you teach a kid to suck it up. You see high school kids after state championship games that they lose behave better than that. And not be such a baby about it. And it really, it's such a bitch about it. Like, it's just like, all right, dude. You lost. It's disappointing, but such is life.
Yeah, he did too. I don't know if you were there, Phil, but in Indianapolis when they lost the AFC Championship game and blew that big lead, he was even worse.
Did you just call me Phil again?
Did I call you Phil?
I'm sorry. That before.
Did I?
Paul, I've never called you Phil today. Even though you and Phil Perry are almost
I know you look exactly alike. Take it as a compliment. You're matinee idol.
It'd be an enormous compliment, and I would lose about 20 years and
my mistake.
Gain a lot of hair.
Sorry.
Belichick wouldn't shake hands with Coughlin after the game. There was a lot.
It was bad.
Like Kansas City right now. Right, Kansas City's been in the Super Bowl, until this year. They've been in the Super Bowl, pretty much inclusive for 5 years. I don't think people nationwide hate the Chiefs the way they hated the Patriots. Now, here in New England, we hate the Chiefs.
No, they do. Can I just tell you why?
They're threatened by it, but Andy Reid's not a jerk.
No, Andy Reid's not a jerk, and people don't hate him in that way. But the thing about going on a run like that is invariably someone on the team is going to become overexposed. And when it's not the quarterback, then it's a problem. Like Kelsey, because of that run, got that podcast, and because of his relationship with Taylor Swift, that podcast became huge, and then it becomes. And then again, I would love to know who these people's managers are, because it becomes this oversaturation and you grow to dislike the people. But let's not make Bob wait anymore. Bob Sosi is the voice of the New England Patriots on the 98.5, the Sports Hub Patriots Radio Network, and he's on nitrous because he's laughing at nothing. Bob Sosi's Hot Takes are brought to you by Bigelow Tea. By now, you should know Bob starts every game with his favorite Bigelow Tea. No matter how hectic your day gets, be sure to grab a mug of Bigelow Tea and tea proudly. Bobby, you're stuck.
Hey, good morning, Fred, John, and Paul. And speaking of being stuck, I was sitting with Fred Kirsch moments ago. Paul, he's compiling a list of things to do for you when the Patriots return to the Super Bowl. And by the way, I think I could have saved you guys about 5 minutes
of me listening and you talking if you had just played the comments after what Zoe said about America's worst nightmare, because I tried, though not as well as you, at least to articulate the same thing, that this is not the same Patriots team. The sentiment about the Patriots outside of New England is very different, I think, than it was the last time we went to the Super Bowl in 2019.
Yeah, and why try to get that back? Like, I don't understand. And Scott's not alone, but there is this, like, want. And, Paul, even though you write for Patriots.com, and I know for a fact you experienced this too, there is a part of the Patriots fan base that doesn't need to be encouraged. You know, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I think you put it a good way. Like, it's almost like that's what they want. Patriots fans want to be hated, and I just don't really understand it.
Yeah, and Scott is speaking as like a voice of that Patriot fan base, and it's like, no. Let's get away from Spygate and Deflategate and having a total irredeemable prick as the head coach, and let's move on. You have a golden boy quarterback. You got a head coach that seems actually to be smart in ways that don't involve schematically drawing up a game plan. So let's keep it at that. But, Bob, can you kind of, since you were there, describe the changes in weather? It seems like an obvious question, but just how dramatic was it? How difficult was it in the second half in compared to all the games that you've called?
Yeah, Fred, I don't think I've called too many games that come close to, what it was like, the conditions having the impact they did. And late in that game, even the slush game the Patriots played the Jets in the finale during the Belichick years. I mean, there have been win games, certainly the game against the Broncos in 2013 when the Pats rallied from the 24-0 deficit. The wind impacted that game. It was cold, but it was really the wind that had the effect on that game. But yesterday, the footing, also I think the wind was deceiving as well, and the change of direction, the snow in the face of players. Guys talked about that. Milton Williams at the post-game press conference podium talked about having a shield that he wears. A lot of those guys wear the visors on the face masks, and they couldn't see because of all the drops collecting in the snow in their face. And then eventually the snow started coming under the visors. We had a game that we called in Denver in 2015, and it was a game that really turned around the late part of the season for the Pats when Chris Harper, who was, I think, a guy who played like 14 snaps for the Patriots all year, muffed a punt when the Pats had a 14-point lead in conditions similar to that, and Denver went on to win the game in overtime. That's, I think, the closest I've seen to a game with the snow and the footing and the visual impairment for players. And just one other thing, speaking of punts, Marcus Jones was deployed yesterday for a punt return. Those all-white uniforms. Zoe said, I don't see Marcus Jones out. The Patriots don't have a returner.
I was going to ask you that.
You could barely see he was there, somewhat obscured by the referee, but certainly hidden in the snow.
How hard was it to call in the second half because the Patriots had the white uniforms on?
That part I didn't find as challenging as the things you would expect, because if you're watching at home, you see that CBS now has superimposed the bold yard numbers and yard lines.
Yeah, but they didn't know where they were.
They didn't do that. At the end,
I'm not being cute either. Nance kept saying,
they were having a hard time.
I don't know. Yeah, that they were having a hard time seeing it.
Yeah, because if you're not watching off the monitor, if you're watching the game, calling it live, as most guys do, even the play-by-play people who work at television, you have no idea. So when Gonzalez intercepted that pass, I had no clue where he was on the field.
Go ahead, Paul.
All right,
John.
Paul.
I can see you guys.
No, that's fine. I thought you were going to go. Go ahead.
No,
Paul.
all right. Bob, just defensively in the postseason, I don't know how you felt going into the playoffs, but I wasn't expecting this. I just talked to Mike Reese about it a little while ago. How surprised have you just how well they've played defensively in these three postseason games?
Paul, extremely surprised. I don't want to disparage the performance in any way. Certainly the teams that they've played have been compromised somewhat by, injuries or in the case of C.J. Stroud, a quarterback who was fragile coming in. You could see that even in the win for the Texans over the Steelers. So I'll get that out there. But I do think the defense has been extremely impressive. And what's really, I think, been, most important for them is something they didn't get a lot of
for most of the regular season, and that's pretty consistent pressure. Yep. I think the penetration. I'm really impressed by the way certain guys are playing defensively, like Kayvon Chason, who the last quarter of the season or so didn't rack up many numbers defensively. He kind of got to his career high in sacks right around the midpoint of the season, but I think he's been terrific in all facets. I think against the run, staying in plays yesterday, disrupting a play, and then making the tackle, staying downfield to make the play. The way that the secondary, I think, has been able to play in sync with the defensive front, and the way those guys have worked together back there. I've been really impressed by the defense front to back in terms of the pressure exerted, but also the guys who were, on the spot to either cover passes or make tackles and prevent any yards after the catch.
Okay, what's the difference been with the offense? It's not as simple as they've been playing very good defenses, because if you look at Denver's schedule, there were games. I mean, people were calling into question just how good Denver's defense was at certain points. I mean, they're a very good defense, but there were games where they struggled. So people have been able to exploit that. What has been the difference in the offense between the regular season and the postseason?
Yeah, Fred, I think if you watch the Bills game, you could see that. And I had a conversation with my counterpart, Dave Logan, who's a former Bronco player and a championship caliber coach in the high school ranks in Colorado. And he said flat out, our defense is not playing well, talking about the Broncos D. He said they gave up 30 points to a team that turned the ball over 5 times last week. But yesterday there was a lot of pressure. I don't break down the tape of the offensive line. We've had this conversation. I do think that, teams in the postseason, maybe players, coaching staffs, when it comes to the details, they're stressed more, they're followed more. You hear about that in postseason baseball, the scouting reports on hitters and pitchers pitching to those scouting reports, et cetera. But to me, it seems like what we saw glimpses of early in the season, even going back to the preseason, where the Patriots offensive line had some issues with stunts up front, seeing those tackles and ends trade places with the twists on the defensive line. Those things have been more consistently much problematic, I think, for them of late. And there's other things too. I think that maybe the lack of the ball security in the last couple of games, coming into this game, it had to be a focal point. I don't know if that, just affected the whole approach. Certainly in the conditions, I think it, led to very conservative play calling, and the players knew that and spoke about it as the game went along.
How do you think the offensive line did yesterday?
John, I think for one thing I will say is I think for both offensive lines, as the game went along, very difficult to get any push. And people typically say in inclement conditions, offense has the advantage. I thought neither team was able to come off the ball very well during the course of the game, again, having not rewatched it. But I do think, again, we talk about the pressure on Drake overall, and some of that he created himself too, I think, at times. But I do think that the offensive line has been an area of concern the last few weeks. And I think against Seattle and the way they play defense, as fast as they are, I think it's going to be a problem for the Patriots that they've got to, shore up going into Santa Clara.
So what do we know about Santa Clara, Bob? What are we going to be doing?
Oh, yeah, you guys got a chance to go out on the town. What do you guys do? You going to San Francisco? What's happening?
Bob knows where all the wild parties are. That's why you have to
just ask Capello.
Bob is
Capello.
You have to follow
Bob is in that subculture. Bob is into a very extreme
Good
subculture.
Point. Of all the places to take Capello, San Francisco seems to me to be perfect.
Yeah, you can go find Pelosi's house and you can have it. Bob,
I will gladly take the BART, around the Bay Area, including San Francisco, and spend some time at some other fine restaurants and cafes and whatnot.
Yeah, if you don't know, Capello is rather conservative. He leans a little right.
A little right of Attila the Hun.
Exactly. Bob, you wouldn't know by the way he dresses. Bob, now you're stuck. When are you guys coming back?
We're actually about to leave for the airport in just a little bit. We, I think, are scheduled to fly. I'm not sure if I can disclose this information. In the past, I might have been kicked off the flight had I revealed anything about travel plans. But I think we're supposed to depart 9 o'clock local time, so 11 Eastern time for Denver. And I'm not sure about the situation back home at the airports, too. We generally fly out of and into TF Green. But we found out last night that even before the game was over that we would be staying, and here we are.
Yeah, just to give you a peace of mind, these are not military operations. This is public record. You can, if you're flying another aircraft, it's good to know when aircrafts are in the air. I think that you're pretty safe giving out that information. But
I was conditioned by the previous coach.
Oh yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I think we could figure out, when a plane takes off and lands. But in Belichick's mind, the Patriots had the most important plane on the planet in the air at that point. Because he was on it. All right, Bob. Thank you, and great times and. Another Super Bowl for you, so that's very exciting, and looking forward to it. Appreciate it, Bob. Thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it very much, guys. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to San Francisco as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy it, because I'm not going. All right, Bobby, thank you.
Safe travels, Bob. We'll see you tomorrow.
Not going on the air at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's not happening. No. And John gave me, and Paul, you'll like this. First of all, John's brain dead, so he doesn't care if we go on, what time we go on. Bob, John's one of these guys who can just ride it out. I don't care for that. But
I don't care for it.
No, I don't like that. There's not enough going on in his head. It troubles me.
I have to be angry. That was the thing.
Not necessarily angry, but you have to be thinking, and I don't like that you can not think.
If you have to wake up at 2:45 in the morning local time, I'm not doing a lot of thinking. It's not happening.
Well, get up at 2:45. What are you talking about? Get up at 1:45. But anyway,
whatever the case was.
Yeah, you go on the air at 3. But my point is this, is that John and Hardy because they knew I wouldn't go. So they were like, not that was even something that was going to happen, but they were, and they were giving me grief. And now that the Patriots, because it was this impossible thing, like, isn't it funny to say this? The Patriots will never make the Super Bowl. That's why Hardy's gone this week, is because, who knew a year ago that the Patriots were going to be in the Super Bowl? You would have never in a million years planned for that. And it's not like he's on vacation. He committed to do something work-related, not this job, but work-related. But, and they were giving me a hard time. They're like, we're going to go. Not so cute now, huh, Johnny? You still want to go? You still want to go to San Francisco? You still think that's the best for the show? You still think that's going to be good radio?
I will say this in front of you and Paul and everybody else. No, I do not want to go to San Francisco this week.
Oh, you don't think the shows would be a great success, staying by the airport at a dump and taking a rental car in and doing it?
Yeah, no, the game in Santa Clara, we would be staying, I guess, in San Francisco, right? So, I mean,
everything's all over the place. Yeah. Media Day's in San Jose. The game's in Santa Clara. Yeah. I think the media's in San Francisco.
We'd be driving all over the place and getting up at 1:45 in the morning.
I think Radio Row is going to be in San Francisco, but a lot of the stuff is in Santa Clara.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so and that's like an hour.
No, I know. And San Jose's no bargain either. So.
And if you think it's going to be a collection of major celebrities walking in and out of those halls in San Francisco, you got another thing coming. If you're a celebrity, you're flying into that game on Saturday. That's not. Yeah. It's just
no. It's Santa Clara this year. It's LA next year, and then Atlanta in 2 years.
Any East Coast morning show that's there it's absolutely insane.
I'll give it to you this time, Fred. I'm not. If you had told me, if we'd gotten a phone call last night and said, "Okay, we want you to go," I'm like, I don't want to go.
Yeah, not so bad that you got a guy in the show that's not afraid to take a stand, huh? Huh, Johnny? Yeah, Johnny, bend over. Johnny, take it like.
Oh, stop it!
All right, there you go. All right,
my God.
All right, very good. We will get to our award-winning email segment in just a moment.
great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Yes, let's do the email bit. Paul Perillo is here for Hardy. If you'd like to email us, you can go to 985thesportshub.com and get our email addresses. You can follow us on social media at Toucher and Hardy and at Fred Toucher, which is all you need to know about Instagram. It's really the only account. It's always incredibly active. The email bit is powered by Jeffrey Glassman Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in a car or work accident, you got to get Glassman. Don't just send an email. Call all sevens at 617-777-7777 or visit gottagetglassman.com. We have a very rare phone call. Let's go to Peter. Hello, Peter.
Hello. I have to defend Zoe briefly. The We're Back reference is actually not a cringeworthy Van Noy thing. It's a deep cut reference to like 2003 or 2004 Super Bowl, and the Patriots were returning, and the talking head introduction of every player, and Brady went, "We're back," and so I'm pretty sure that's what it's in reference to.
Okay, that's giving Zolak a lot of credit. Paul Perillo.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, I would think that We're Back is reference to the ultimate reference of it, but thank you, Peter. Paul, is that true? Is that in reference to some obscure Tom Brady thing coming from 23 years ago?
It could be. I don't recall. I would say that that's every bit as cringeworthy, though. Like
I would agree.
Remember Jim Kelly? Do you remember when Buffalo was going to those?
Yes, that last time they went.
Yeah,
yes.
and it was dorky then too when they were doing it.
Yes,
when, everybody was annoyed that they were getting their.
Given the opportunity to remember something, do you think Zoe is more shiny object, last thing you heard, or he's stored in the memory banks from 23 years ago?
No, I think what Zoe is referring to is exactly what we talked about, that he relishes the fact that he thinks people hate them. That's what he's talking about. We're back.
Which I'm with you. I don't understand why there is this need in the Patriots fan base to be hated. I guess it was just very enjoyable to have that all rhetoric going on, but it was certainly not enjoyable from this end. It was very annoying, but because it did become like this forced thing that the league was against you. No, you were accused of cheating, and that's why the league was after you. And your owner has an incredible relationship with Goodell. It's just this. I just see this flurry of people freaking out while billionaires are all having cocktails, orchestrating you, like just puppeteering you. It was very sad.
I've got the Brady clip real quick here, Fred.
We're back.
Now that we've heard the Zoe call a couple times.
We're back.
But for comparison.
Pac-Mation. I'm back.
Yeah, it's a toss-up.
Well, We're Back is what is that even a reference?
What is it? The 80s horror movie Poltergeist. They're back.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's so old that I didn't even remember what the hell it was originally from. I didn't know if it was Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't know if it was Blossom. I don't know what the hell it's from. But regardless,
it's a very special Blossom.
I got to give the caller credit from remembering that. That's insane. All right, this is from John. Mac Hollins, Warrior Get Up. Did you see his pregame? He nailed it. You already discussed, I'm sorry, I was out snowblowing. I did not see Mac Hollins, but I did see him dancing in the huddle during important parts of the game, which I don't think, I'm not being sarcastic, I don't think he was doing for the cameras. I do think he was just dancing. He enjoyed the music that was being played in the stadium, so I will give him...
We'll do the Mac Hollins thing for the stack, and you can get a fresh ear listen to it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen.
I sense sarcasm.
He seemed loose. Well, the thing about Mac Hollins is that I had a friend from Buffalo that said, you're going to love Mac Hollins. He's going to give you a lot of content. He's strange. And I went, okay. And then before the season started, they were like, he shows up to the games barefoot. And I said, well, that's not much. I mean, I could do that. I walk around barefoot. It's a big deal. He's not wearing shoes.
He's trying really, really hard. Look, I'm all for people being a free spirit. He's different in a day and age where the Patriots were bereft of any personality whatsoever. I'm glad this guy's on the team. Even during training camp, it was interesting to listen to this guy. But we're at the end of the year. It's enough.
I'll say
It's
this,
enough.
you know, all of the quirks and, you know, the pre-game routines and get-ups and whatnot, he's been a really valuable player. He's really, really helped that team, and they used him yesterday. There was a definite they missed him when he was out. I think the run game has been hurt because I think he's a big part of that with the blocking and a couple of big catches in a game where otherwise you didn't really have anything. I mean, what do you have, 86 yards passing yesterday? Matt Collins had 50 of it.
Yeah. And I mean, and those are the kind of conditions it seems like where Matt Collins is an ideal option for your quarterback.
And I have an email here. You were wondering, you know, are the Patriots fans still able to be negative despite the fact they are where they are?
Not negative so much in that are they looking to be the enemy? That's
Right.
kind of like what the thing is.
Then this is not quite that, but I mentioned in the first hour of the show that, you know, Drake May has done something Tom Brady never did. He won a playoff game in Denver, and I immediately got this. He didn't win that game. Nobody won that game. Maybe the Broncos lost it, but overall Mother Nature held the field for the final quarter.
Well, yeah, it was a terrible game. I don't know what you want out of anyone.
It is what it is. I mean, the offense obviously didn't do a whole lot, but they won the game.
And that's why I found, and to get back to a point, the beginning of the show, is that I think Vrabel just showed what an elite coach he is because Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. And given those conditions, I think games like that are a lot of times come down to coaching. It's just mitigating mistakes. You know, it's you kind of got to throw your game plan out the window at that point. So maybe it doesn't come down to the coordinators as much as it does to head coaching and like an overall feel for the game. And, you know, there's no way they went into that game knowing what the weather was going to do to that degree, and the way that they didn't make mistakes, that they kept mistakes to a minimum, is a huge feather in the cap of Vrabel. He outcoached Sean Payton. I mean, Sean Payton, you know, kept points off the board. Sean Payton couldn't get his, granted, great field position, wasn't able to get his team in scoring opportunities, at least that were more realistic, given those weather conditions. You're asking a lot from a field goal kicker, in a blizzard to, you know, be able to kick a 46-yard field goal. He wasn't able to move the ball but 5 yards in that situation. And it's not his fault that Stidham turned the ball over down there, but, you know, it's just that just don't make a mistake. Drake May didn't do that. Drake May didn't chest pass a ball in his own end and allow the other team to get it. So, I mean, there has to be, regardless of the aesthetics of the game, you have to give the Patriots credit. They found a way to win on the road in those conditions.
You know, another guy who didn't make any mistakes yesterday and didn't make a mistake in bad weather the last 2 weeks was Ramondre Stevenson. It's 76 yards rushing, very valuable. And, you know, Patriots as a whole didn't turn the ball over. He didn't either. And it's to the detriment of Travion Henderson, who, you know, was a big part of things early. But, you know, Paul and I were talking during the break. Henderson's kind of disappeared here during the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Stevenson's been great. You know, I'd say the last, 6 or 8 games, he's really come on. But that was as good a performance by a running back with those kinds of numbers. I mean, he averaged 2.8 yards a carry. He didn't get anything. But short yardage, he generally moved the chains and gave them, you know, in a second
Nothing
half.
outside either. This
second half like
yeah.
that, you know, hold on to the ball, like Fred said, and see if you could just grind as much clock. I mean, they had some possessions where they were just basically handing him the ball 3 times and saying, we don't even care if you get the first down or not. Just don't turn it over. And he was able to grind out some yards. He picked up enough to keep the possession in the second half. Yeah, again, 2.8 yards a carry. That's not very good. But I thought he was really effective in what he was asked to do yesterday.
And by the way, there are a lot of coaches in this league that wouldn't be satisfied handling business that way. Just, you know, just grinding clock and settling on punting and flipping field. There's a lot of coaches that wouldn't be able to sit on their hands. Sean Payton probably one of them, you know, based on the way that he played that game. You know, and do you think Ben Johnson is going to be satisfied in weather like that. Just sacrificing a possession like that. I don't think so. You put your quarterback in danger. Not playing conservatively like that. So I do think I was very impressed with Vrabel. I've been impressed with Vrabel obviously all season, but in the playoffs, I feel against this competition has been much more impressive. You're against a backup quarterback, and you didn't push things. You stuck, and I thought that they played it in a brilliantly conservative way.
It makes you wonder what it's going to be like in the Super Bowl. You have a young head coach who hasn't been there before, anything like this before, against a guy that's proven that he can be really relaxed when the pressure's on in Vrabel.
Well,
yeah,
he hasn't been there before either, though.
Yeah, it's two guys with their first Super Bowl.
I get that, but Vrabel has more experience dealing with this kind of stuff than the other guy. That was my point.
He's obviously more coaching experience, but this is another one of these random stats. Fred, I know you like these randos.
Oh, let's dig into them, baby.
So first time I think since 2003 that the two participants in the Super Bowl did not make the playoffs the previous season. So that's a long time to go. With teams that came out of nowhere, and you had the odds of this Super Bowl matchup were pretty high.
It's the highest odds. If you pick these two teams, it's the highest odds ever for that ever to face each other in a Super Bowl. Not individually by team, by a long shot, but which is kind of surprising. But as a matchup, it's the longest odds ever, 4,800 to 1.
Wow.
Patriots were 80 to 1. Seattle was 60 to 1. Now, there have been teams that were 150 to 1 to win Super Bowls, that being the Rams in 99. The Bengals were 150 to 1 shot in 2021. And those are by far the biggest long shots. But other 80 to 1, if you're curious, other 80 to 1 teams that I can see here were the Falcons in 2016. And they weren't a bad team, and they should have won that game. And that's pretty much it. Other 60 to 1 teams were the Falcons in 98, the Eugene Robinson affair.
Yep.
You had the, which I'll always remember him as, Carolina in 2003. It's not rare that an 80 to 1, it's pretty rare an 80 to 1 team, or a 60 to 1 team gets in. It's not unheard of, but the combination of the two. And in the 70s and 80s, especially in the 70s, it was Cowboys Steelers. It was probably even money,
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of parity. And when I was a kid, the Super Bowls were always, as a rule, terrible because there was one team that was, or one conference, the NFC, that was so far and away better than the other conference. And we'll see if that's the case this season. Certainly the NFC Championship game looked like a different brand of football, but that was played in much better conditions. And, Sam Darnold is not as good a quarterback as Drake May. Paul had said, he doesn't know if the Patriots necessarily have a quarterback advantage. And if you think of it as how young Drake May is and that Darnold's taken his lumps in this league, as we have many, many days to analyze this, we can get into a big psychological breakdown of who has the advantage in that if we would like. But we have many days to do that. Let's go to the headlines, and when we come back, we will take this ship to shore with the stack.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celtics.
Deep three and hit it. Wow.
The Sports Hub.
IYKYK, which obviously YD. Okay?
Dutcher and Hardy, mornings of the Sports Hub.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Dutcher and Hardy.
I'm a host of the show, and I don't know what that last bumper was in reference to. It made no sense to me. I can only imagine if you're in the audience. Hardy was spelling something. I have headphones on too.
Well, IYK, YK, and clearly YDK.
Still.
If you
all right.
know, you know.
The Stack is brought to you by New England. That's right. I don't know. The Stack is brought to you by New England's largest Volkswagen dealer group, Colonial VW, located in Medford, Wellesley, and Westboro. Come see the amazing finance and lease officers. Why do I always do that? Lease offers happening every day at colonialvw.com. Yes.
Okay.
You can have it. Jesus Christ, John.
I thought you were.
Yes, you can have it all at Colonial.
I thought you
now
were
I'm done.
That's why I interrupted. I thought you were done. My apologies. You can read it all again if you want. I won't interrupt that time.
You've done enough backpedaling for your mistake. Go ahead.
All right. No, interesting on the blocked field goal. We might have a reason why that field goal was blocked yesterday.
Yeah, I just reading some stuff from Phil Perry. I guess Will Lutz, the Broncos kicker, was saying afterward that they did not line up properly on that. They don't feel like they were far enough back. It's usually 8 yards for the spot, and they were closer to 7. And they said because they lost sight of the lines. They couldn't tell exactly where they were. Phil actually threw out there that the Broncos still had 2 timeouts left. May have been worth using one to have, the holder and the kicker, more time to clear off a spot, on a long kick, a 45-yarder. But yeah, interesting. He was only 7 yards back instead of the normal 8, and
just enough.
Kick ends up getting blocked.
So that's on the holder and the kicker.
Yeah, I would say
right?
so. Yeah.
Well, then you got to get that together. You play in Denver. You got to understand how to do that.
Oh no,
Payton shouldn't have to use a timeout.
No, that was two separate things. The timeout would have been to clear out some of the snow off. Not knowing where the lines were, and that's on the holder and the kicker.
Right, but Payton would have to be a mind reader to know. I got to call a timeout to dust off these lines because. I understand that because it makes the kick easier, and they can blow the field and all that stuff. But to have any idea that your stupid ass holder and kicker aren't going to know where to properly line up on what the only thing they do for a living,
right,
it would be a little above my pay. I'm putting that if I'm Peyton and I'm asked about that, and I'm all for contrition. But if I'm asked about that in a post-game press conference, I go, what the hell do you want out of me? These guys have one thing to do. Yeah, exactly. Like you want me to count off the yardage on that a holder's behind the center? Timeout. If something's off. I can't see this. So, well, now I've heard everything. That's solely on those two gentlemen. That is on no one else in that building or in the universe. They can look at themselves. So now I know for a fact it's the kicker's fault.
Yeah.
Now that is I thought, listen, you got to line. My feeling was you got to line drive the ball because it's so gusty and, it's a low kick by design and, those are more likely to get blocked. But F him. If he can't even count out the proper distance to be away from the center, then that's on him. So I have no sympathy for the gentleman. All right. Paul, in all sincerity, thank you so much for coming in. Paul Perillo. Coming in and braving the weather and getting out something that I refuse to do. So you're a better man than I.
No, I was happy to do it, Fred. Thanks for having me.
No, and we do appreciate it. We asked for you specifically, so I'm glad that I finally got to work with you. John, I should be in barring a total laziness by me. I should be in studio tomorrow. Congratulations to New England Patriots and now we have 9 more shows to break this baby down.
Very important. Well, we'll have Andrew Callahan tomorrow to help.
Absolutely, and he will pale in comparison to Paul, but that is his own cross to bear.
Yep.
But Callahan apparently is getting out of Denver today, which the other writers could not do.
Oh, wow. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so Adam had talked to Callahan because Adam's on the ball. You talked to Callahan yesterday, and Callahan said that he had gotten out of Denver. I don't know if Scott's doing the show today. Probably not, because Bob said they were flying back right now. So Bertrand will be in next. That'll do it for us. Everyone have a great day. Bye.
Talk to you tomorrow. Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.